The CEO of the Irish Fish Processors and Exporters Association says there's genuine shock and annoyance in the port after the ship was forced to withdraw due to a rule introduced in recent weeks by the SFPA, which meant that over 1,000 tonnes of blue whiting wasn't able to be weighed using a pier-side weigh system. Brendan Byrne says this is yet again another example of the total disregard for the fishing industry in Ireland.
It shows to the latter extent of how dysfunctional the management of the entire fishery here in Ireland has become from the competent authority and from a complete lack of interest and disconnect on the part of the government. Here you have a vessel that wished to do business with Ireland and they had to leave port to go to any other European port because there's greater rights and they will be afforded the courtesies of land and fish in any other port in Europe apart from any port in Ireland.
Meanwhile, high energy prices may be the straw that breaks a camel's back for fishermen. That's according to Donegal Deputy Patrick McLaughlin, who told the Dáil that the fishing industry was in the midst of a crisis long before energy price hikes. He pressed the Minister for Agriculture, Food and the Marine, Charlie McConlogue, to follow the lead of France and Spain and intervene. Deputy McLaughlin says the sector is being severely impacted.
60 boats further will decommission. You're down to 30% of what the fleet used to be, above 18 metres. It's already an industry in crisis. This is going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back. What are you going to do?
In response, Minister Charlie McConlogue says he is committed to working with the sector to navigate these uncertain times.
We'll continue to liaise very closely with them because it's a really important, massively important sector, particularly for our own county. It's really important that we work with them through this period of time, and I'll continue to do that.
Taoiseach Micheál Martin's giving a peace-building talk in Derry this evening despite recent threats from loyalist paramilitaries. There was a security alert at a similar event in Belfast last Friday, attended by Foreign Affairs Minister Simon Coveney. The UVF says Irish government ministers aren't welcome in the north due to the Brexit protocol. ENT leader Paolo Tobin says the warnings should be ignored.
The level of protest that's been happening on the street in terms of the protocol is nowhere like protests were around, for example, the Anglo-Irish agreement. We're not talking about the same times at all. I do believe it's important that the Taoiseach remains safe and keeps his security in check, but we need to make sure that the Good Friday Agreement is fixed and that people can have the bread and butter issues that are affecting them dealt with.
Weather now largely dry this morning with some bright spells, feeling cool at times with highest temperatures of 6 to 8 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with news again at 10 o'clock. Until then, good morning.
Hpv Cervical Screening is free to all women aged 25 to 65. It's the best way to reduce your risk of developing cervical cancer in the future. Women over 50 are less likely to attend screening, but you're still at risk, so it's important to attend your appointment when you're invited. To check you're on the register, visit hse.ie/cervical check or free phone 1800 45 45 55 from the HSE.
The 9 till Noon Show brought to you by Kelly's Toyota. Test drive Toyota's incredible self-charging hybrid range at our showroom, Port Road, Letterkenny.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest, the 9 to Noon Show, with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello, good morning. 4 minutes past 9. It's Friday, the 1st of April, no joke. And you're welcome along to another edition of the 9 till Noon Show. And it is a Friday, so that means it's another busy one. Our Friday panel about to join us a little later on. We'll have Michael and Fionnuala in studio and much more besides. OK, let's crack straight on because I think we've a lot to talk about today, and we are going to welcome our guests onto the programme now. First of all, Michael Harrison, cyber threat consultant and former Garda inspector. Michael, good morning to you.
Morning, Greg. How are you?
I'm fantastic, and it's very good to have you with us. We also welcome onto the programme Katie Tyrrell McCafferty, community campaigner. Good morning, Katie.
Good morning, Greg.
Hope you are keeping well. And last but not least, John McAteer, editor of the Tyrconnell Tribune newspaper. How are you doing, John?
I'm fine, Greg. Thank you.
And thank you for coming on with us again. Right, OK, we'll start with a big story yesterday, and that's the news that a planned meeting to Letterkenny by the Taoiseach has been cancelled. Micheál Martin was due to host a lunch at the Radisson Blu Hotel organised by the Letterkenny Chamber of Commerce. It was cancelled. A protest had been scheduled to take place. The hotel said they did no longer want to host it, and the event was cancelled. I'm not sure if it's clear yet. Maybe John or one of our other guests might know whether it was actually then the Taoiseach's office that cancelled the visit altogether, I imagine so. But in a statement, Christine Reynolds, President of Letterkenny Chamber, said it is with regret that the event to be hosted by Letterkenny Chamber with Taoiseach Micheál Martin will not go ahead as planned after consultation with the department. The Chamber, they say, is extremely disappointed that they will not now have an opportunity to meet with the Taoiseach in Donegal. Their intention at the event was to emphasise the economic needs of the county and region, including MICA redress. The President of the Chamber says that they have now missed a perfect opportunity to put the concerns of its members directly to Taoiseach. I'll start with you, John McAteer. Your reaction to the decision. I mean, I think the Chamber make a strong point, but obviously those involved in the MICA campaign feel that their voices need to be heard. What's your views?
Yeah, I'm listening to the Chamber point, and I fully agree with it. Likewise, I agree similarly with the demand of the MICA Action Group to have a few minutes with Taoiseach. The very fact that he pulled out of that, as one can only presume, is an indication that this has become a very political hot potato. That I couldn't see any real reason why he shouldn't meet with them. I couldn't see any reason why there shouldn't be a bit of a demonstration. The fact that should he be there, come out and meet them and talk to them, because this isn't going to go away now or at any time soon.
But just so we're clear for what's on the timeline of On the Record, because there are different views. MICA Action Group said that they contacted Charlie McConaughey's office seeking a meeting in mid-March, and they didn't get any word on it, so they organised this protest, and on the same day, that evening, Micheál Martin's office, through Charlie McConaughey, I think, stated, no, we are going to meet the MICA Action Group. Now, from Charlie McConaughey's perspective, in the interest of fairness as well, what he claims happened, he said he was asked to organise a meeting in mid-March. He said, no problem, that's what we'll do. He spent the following couple of weeks, according to him, trying to secure a meeting in Inishowen, because he said he got a lot of criticism for the meeting the last time being in Letterkenny. So he was trying to arrange a time to bring the Taoiseach to Inishowen to meet with reps of the MICA Action Group. And because of the agenda wasn't fully finalised, it was on that day that he got confirmation of that, and that was the timeline. So they did have a meeting, but the protest was to go ahead. Was calling the protest the right thing to do? Was cancelling the lunch the right thing to do? Because I think it was a pots and pans protest, John. Did the hotel have any other option?
I think they had. I don't think this is to do with the hotel, actually. It's to do with the fact that the Taoiseachs in Donegal, the MICA Action Group, are totally disillusioned. They're left with a deficit of information, and if they can't talk to the Taoiseach in their own constituency, then there's something fundamentally wrong here. Micheál Martin hasn't come out and explained why he didn't. Charlie McConaughey was quoted in the Donegal News as being absolutely committed to the meeting. Michael Doherty, the PRO of the MICA Action Group, he summed it up quite succinctly when he simply said, if the Taoiseach thought he could waltz into Donegal and back out again without meeting them, then he could think again. And this is where the MICA campaign is now at. Politicians should not be walking away from them. I presume that if Micheál Martin came there, he would have been met by the MICA Action Group had he come out and spoken to them. There was no indication that was going to happen. There was absolutely nothing to be afraid of here. I mean, MICA people put messages out on social media to come out and make a bit of noise, bring bin lids if necessary. It's almost back to the days of the civil rights in Northern Ireland all these years ago, that people had to take out bin lids to make a lot of noise to be heard. I mean, if the MICA Action Group is now fighting, after all these of 10 years, to be heard by the leader of the country, then there's something very fundamentally flawed with our political system, and I believe that to be the case. Okay,
Katie, what is your view? I mean, the Chamber makes the point that this was a rare opportunity to talk about the biggest issue is no doubt the MICA issue, but talk about all issues in that, maybe coming from the Chamber maybe coming from the Chamber, talking about the micro issue. We could have got a good quote from Micheál Martin as it relates to his committee. But before I ask you, I just want to point something out. There was a meeting scheduled between the Taoiseach and representatives of the Mica Action Group, and that meeting is going ahead as scheduled on Saturday in Inishowen, by the way. So Micheál Martin is meeting with the Mica Action Group in Inishowen on Saturday. But to your point, to my question, Katie, what do you think of how things played out?
Well, it looked like a stick in your head in the sand moment, you know. I just want these people to go away. Everyone has the right to protest. The Chamber have the right to meet the Taoiseach. We are in a unique situation. Well, not unique, but 3 other counties. We have the border issue still with Brexit, and that's affecting business. Mica is affecting business as well. So it is a big issue for the business community as well. And he should have come up and addressed it. It was like it was running away, to be honest. Maybe the protest wouldn't have been as loud if he'd have met those people first, you know, scheduled the meeting first. But no, that there's no common sense thinking here. Do you know what I mean? So I can't believe that he's done that. You know what I mean? I thought he might have used the COVID excuse, but
no, that's the one the Americans use against him, it seems. But in relation to though, I think people know I'm 100% behind the Mica campaign, as all of us are, right? But once a meeting had been scheduled, and given the sort of rumblings coming from the hotel that, you know, there are other guests there and this, that and the other, would it have been better from a PR perspective if the Mica Action Group says, look, we'll cancel it, we'll call off the protest and spin it in such a way that it would work better for them, rather than now it feeling like some might say that the Chamber have lost an opportunity to express, you know, their concerns about other issues, including Mica?
But there was not, like we've seen it. He ducked out of that one. There's no guarantee that he's going to show up on Saturday either. Do you know what I mean? I think at every opportunity, these people are trying to speak to their Taoiseach about the fact they can't live in their house anymore. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And they're trying. And the other thing is, the national press would have been there, you know. And there is still a bit of a misunderstanding outside of Donegal and maybe Mayo about what Mica is all about. You know, a lot of people think that people are trying to build these grand palaces, and you know, and why do you want your ad? People actually don't understand what the Mica issue is, and it was an opportunity to get national exposure again.
Yeah, and an opportunity also to show that the campaign remains strong and organised, even with Paddy Diver having stepped back. So, I mean, there obviously were a couple of ways this would have worked very positively for the campaign. What do you think, Michael Harrison?
Well, I was quite surprised and shocked to hear last night, Greg, that the whole thing had been cancelled. What you're dealing with here is families whose houses are literally crumbling down around them. You have mums and dads that aren't sleeping well at night in their homes because they can hear the cracks. You know, they can hear the cracks. They can't see a way forward at all. There's no light at the end of the tunnel for them. They can't, even if they tried to ring Donegal County Council, and I believe the people on the help desk down there, the Mica help desk, are very, very helpful to the extent that they can be. But there's no statutory instrument. They have no law. They have no legal guidance to guide them on, so that they can advise these distressed homeowners. And I think it was they were more than entitled to have a protest outside this hotel, given the length of time this Mica nonsense has carried on. And it's when you talk to these homeowners, when you hear their stories, and just think, what is the effect this is having on the children? There's children growing up, and all they hear is the mums and dad getting distressed about seeing cracks, and they hear these children are hearing the cracks. They're hearing this. And to hear that the whole that the thing was cancelled, possibly because of the protest, I thought it was absolutely ludicrous. I was really, really surprised.
Yeah, and it's about communication and messaging again, Michael. Like, I mean, if I were the Taoiseach, I would go, right, we're heading to the northwest here. the biggest issue and the most motivating issue up there is Micah. I would have said, right, I'm going up there because I need to meet these people again to give them an update on what's happening. And while I'm there, I might hop into Derry and fulfil that commitment. And also, I will, I'll meet the chamber. I mean, they could have, the Taoiseach's office could have spun this in a way that would have worked very well for them. But again, they didn't.
Yeah, exactly. It's just mishandled. And in 2022, with all the media experts and social media gurus that the politicians are entitled to have, I can't believe that that they have made what looks to me, an ordinary person, to be a serious error in judgment. I'm just quite surprised.
All right, someone says the facts need to be made clear. The hotel cancelled the venue, which left the chamber with nowhere to hold it. The Taoiseach's office did not play a part in this cancellation. Where did this come from? Because in the statement they say, obviously they were put in a position because the hotel was cancelled, but in their own statement they say, it's with regret that the event to be hosted by the Letterkenny Chamber with Taoiseach Micheál Martin will not go ahead as planned after consultation with the department. So,
I think the reality there, Greg, is that from what I understand, the protest meeting was only organised when the Maker group or the Maker homeowners discovered that there wasn't going to be a meeting. And it was only when the meeting came out that the meeting was agreed for the Radisson. Now that is where it's been handled very, very badly at that point. If the Taoiseach was coming to Donegal and his PR gurus there, as Michael says, had they sort of been thinking outside the box at all, they would have said, look, there's going to be protesters here. The Taoiseach would be very anxious to meet them and talk to them. That there wouldn't have been any noise. There would have been probably a very frank discussion, but it would have been a very peaceful one. And I think he has handled it very, very badly, or his officers have handled it very, very badly. Perhaps it's wrong to blame the Taoiseach himself, but the office of the Taoiseach and those organising the meetings. I mean, up here in Donegal, we're not going to behave outside of the law. The Taoiseach would have got a decent reception because we are dependent on those politicians to resolve this crisis. And everybody realises that, and they waited for far too long. And they needed that opportunity to meet somebody like the Taoiseach.
Yeah. And if you're coming up here, John, if you're coming up here as Taoiseach, the first thing at the front of your mind or at your advisor's mind should be Micah. And you get out in front of that. Like I said during the week, and we all might remember, there was a time, I think, a senior politician coming to the region with such a live issue would try and come up with some good news and sort of use it as an opportunity to sort of, spin the message a little bit. But that just doesn't seem to be the way we operate anymore, John.
Well, I mean, the motto of this new government in 2020 was putting people first. Is this a new way of putting people first? I don't think so.
No. Okay. We might return to that as texts come in. You've just heard the voice there, John McAteer, editor of the Tyrconnell newspaper, of course. Katie Tyrrell McCafferty, community campaigner, and also the voice of Michael Harrison, cyber threat consultant and retired Garda inspector. Don't forget, if you want to watch this item, you can, and the rest of the show and every show we broadcast, every 9 till noon show, get on to our webpage, highlandradio.com. You'll see a link there. You can watch in your browser or via YouTube and Facebook. Back with much more from our guests and your comments coming in too after these messages.
The 9 till noon show brought to you by Kelly's Toyota. With over 45 years of experience, trust us to help you on your electric journey.
Let's call out his name. Mike Denver in concert with guests Philomena Begley, Ray Lynham and Brendan Shine at the Millennium Forum Derry on Saturday, April 23rd. Tickets at the theatre box office. That's Mike Denver in concert at the Millennium Forum with Philomena Begley, Ray Lynham and Brendan Shine on Saturday, April 23rd.
In this week's RTE Guide, Baz Ashmawi on childhood, his changing priorities, and how DIY SOS has transformed his view on life. From short strolls to long hikes, our Walking for Wellness feature is packed with inspiration to get you out and about. Everything and more. RTE Guide, on sale now.
On the night of April 3rd, we'll all come together to fill out our census forms. And the information you provide will help show where essential services are needed in every part of the country. So on Sunday, April 3rd, be a part of Ireland's future. Be counted. Visit census.ie to find out more.
With passengers boarding for the holiday a lifetime, please go
Highland Radio wants to send you on the holiday of a lifetime.
worth €10,000.
Plus $5,000 spending money.
Get your ticket now at highlandradio.com. Answer the question and start packing. Start packing.
Draw takes place April 14th on the 9 till noon show.
Start planning your ultimate getaway. Only on Highland Radio.
Okay, and people want to clarify that it was not the Taoiseach's office that cancelled the meeting. The hotel pulled the venue. The Chamber, in their own statement, said they consulted with the Taoiseach's department, but the decision was made that there was nowhere to host it, and it wasn't the Taoiseach that cancelled this meeting. That's what they want to clarify. I understand that. I understand that too. Right, okay, so another issue, won't stay too long on this one, of course, is calls from those on the front line, the INMO, Emergency Department Task Force and others. They want some measures reintroduced, ranging from work at home to be put back into place, but the mandatory wearing of masks in congregated settings and more of an emphasis on social distancing and vaccination and what have you. The government have met again yesterday. They say, look, the only thing that would stop this flow is level 5 lockdown. They say we've reached the peak or are reaching the peak, and that introducing masks effectively in and of itself would not have any impact. Michael Harrison, cyber threat consultant and former guard inspector. Obviously, look, we're not epidemiologists, but we all have a view. Obviously, the government choosing to listen to Tony Holohan, whilst there are on the other side, many who are working at the front line calling for such measures. But what do you think?
At this stage, the wearing a mask, it is a personal decision at this stage. It is for me anyway. When I go into shops and that at the moment, or in closed spaces, I feel safer wearing my mask, putting a mask on me. But from looking at the articles in newspapers and online the last week or so about this new Omicron variant, it is supposed to be very, very contagious, and the only mask I was reading that would have any effect preventing it would be the K95 or N95 standard, and they are quite expensive. But so it introduced kind of mandatory mask wearing at this stage for to protect people against a variant. Is that the ordinary mask doesn't control, particularly the ordinary cloth mask. It won't keep the virus at bay. It's why do it? But from just feeling safe myself, going in around shops, going in around closed spaces, it is kind of at this stage. I just like to have it on. I like to wear it.
So despite what the likes of the INMO and others are saying, you think that it should remain a personal choice?
Well, I haven't seen or I haven't read any scientific evidence to say that if we start wearing face masks again, that the spread of this variant will drop dramatically.
But we've been told, in fairness, we've been told for 2 years that one of the greatest defences against the spread of COVID was wearing a mask, and we saw the controversy that created. But I mean, that's been drilled into us for 2 years, and now it's not the case.
Yeah, but that isn't the case with this new variant of Omicron. It is supposed to be highly contagious, and the only mask that will prevent it spreading is the K95, N95 standards.
Yeah, okay.
That's my own personal opinion at this stage. From the research that I can see outside, and even the articles, from the IMO, they haven't quoted any scientific studies saying, listen, but it is certainly something I feel safer doing in and around shops. I haven't had COVID yet. I don't want to get it, and I'm just trying to keep myself safe.
Well, I'm delighted for you, but you would know there are memes going around the internet that says the only people that haven't got COVID so far don't have any friends, Michael.
Well, I've read that too, Greg. I've read that too. It's just
right, okay. And we know you do, by the way, of course. Katie Tyrrell McCafferty, what do you think?
What do I think? Well, I'm 3 weeks post-COVID. I wouldn't wish it on anyone, maybe apart from Vladimir Putin. And I'm fully jabbed. I'm still suffering with really bad post-COVID exhaustion as well. I would like to see masks reintroduced. I have to say, I understand what Michael's saying about the N95 mask, but as we all know, and I don't think I think the message was tried to be drummed into us. Actually, you wearing a mask doesn't protect you. What it does is it stops you from spreading. And I think that's where the issue is. The number of people I know that said, God, I never had a cold in 2 years, and are now getting them as well. Do you know what I mean? I was told the other day by someone who's got a child in school that out of their whole day of their timetable, they had one teacher. And what I don't want to do is I don't want to go back into a full lockdown again. And I just think by simply wearing a mask would help. And the other thing about, I think, the working from home point, if your business wasn't affected and you are able to do your job from home, I don't see any reason why there should be forced returns to the offices.
Because people want to get back into the office and mix with people and mingle with people and get back to their normal lives, Katie, I think, really.
Yes, but that should be a personal choice,
I think. Okay, yeah.
I do understand.
The messaging again, I'm sorry to talk about messaging again because I sound like a scratch record, but I suppose nothing new there. I was listening to a bit of Morning Ireland on the way up, and a doctor was on the radio, and they were talking along these lines, and she said, and very eminent, I'm sure, she said that, listen, if you get a cold, if you have a sore throat, and even if you're negative on an antigen test, that you should stay at home. And I'm thinking, you know, the messaging is mixed up enough. How, in any real-world scenario, could many, many people ring up their employer and say, you know, I've got a sore throat here. I heard on the radio that even though my antigen is negative, I should stay at home. The messaging again has just gone completely to pot.
Yeah, so in our own case, Greg, it was actually my son that got ill first, and now Jimmy's on the autistic spectrum with a learning disability, so sometimes I have to interpret what he's saying to me, do you know what I mean? And he said, I've got a red throat, and he was coughing, so I said, right, let's give him an antigen test. We actually did 3 before he tested positive, so I actually think that there is a bit of more of a sort of undetected hibernation period with this Omicron.
Yeah.
So I can sort of see that. And I don't know if you saw the reports. I think I read one in The Guardian, actually, that in London, they're saying, don't just put, if you've got a cough and you do an antigen test, it's negative, don't just put that down to COVID, because they're seeing a massive rise in TB.
Right, okay, well, that's another one into the mix, of course. Right, John McAteer, Michael Harrison, in favour of the personal choice, and people can make that personal choice. Katie there would like to see masks back in on a mandatory basis, and people being allowed to work from home if the business would allow. What side do you fall in, or is it somewhere in between, John?
Well, I feel that the restrictions were removed much too early. I think, ironically, maybe today, being the 1st of April, I think all COVID restrictions are now removed. I stand corrected on that, but I think
no, the emergency legislation elapsed at midnight last night.
Yeah, that's right. I favour wearing COVID masks at this point. There's too many people. We know everybody in our neighbourhood who has it. We know everybody at work that has it. And there's no point in beating around the bush that this has gone away. It has done anything but go away. And I think the government is looking at this very anxiously from now right up until Easter, and hoping that Easter break for 2 weeks will see a break in the infection numbers. The infection numbers as they now stand are far too high. Those in hospital are far too high. And it's impacting very severely on the best capacity of our hospitals, as if things weren't bad enough. There's no reason that we shouldn't be wearing our masks. There is some sort of a difference emerging there between the political system, and this is nothing new between them and the departments of emergency medicine. And it's those people at the front line of emergency medicine are seeing that the fallout from this. I think the government is reluctant to recognise that the issue is as serious as it is. In my mind, it is very serious. And it's been made much more serious because people are out in public all the time, as they're entitled to be. But caution has been thrown to the four winds. And until even mandatory wearing of masks might not be the right term, but encouragement to use extreme caution and ensure that if you do go into a public place It's not a big task to wear your mask. We've got used to it now. I know it's a long 2 years, but it's not gone and won't be gone until there's a further break that we can say, right, we're safe now for the summer.
Michael, has your view changed at all? I mean, I think what is clear, a lot of it's based on how we feel individually and our own experiences, sort of what kind of forms, our opinions. I don't think I'm speaking on behalf of anyone there, but that's the feeling I'm getting. I mean, has your views changed at all? I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm probably with you, Michael, more so. But listening to John and Katie there, do you stand by your view?
Well, if you're going to reintroduce mask wearing, I don't think that will be enough, for the public. I think you probably will have to reintroduce again some form of COVID restrictions. And as you said, the legislation has passed and has gone, and as we've seen, the legislation itself was nonsensical, to say the least. When you see what happened down in Galway with the Golfgate trials, and that it was legislation that was put in our statute books that was completely and utterly unenforceable. And for the same time with regards to wearing masks, I feel, and I do wear one, when I'm out in public, I feel safer. I don't know, I've never known, to be honest, how effective or how ineffective they are. But as Kathy says there, it certainly does. Maybe there's probably evidence there to show that it does prevent the spread of the virus, but whether it stops you getting it or not is another thing. But no, my view would still be the same. I do think it's a personal decision at this stage, and it's just I have no idea what the government are trying to do here. Are they trying to hope for this kind of herd immunity at this stage? Try and get as many people as affected, and then come next winter.
But the only thing is with that, people are catching it 2 or 3 times. Really, even the messaging really is that it reduces, the vaccination will reduce symptoms, rather than it reducing its spread or what have you. It's interesting. I don't know where we're going with it either, because Katie, I think finally on this to you. If the government come at us now heading in towards, post-Halloween, heading in towards winter and start saying, one of the greatest defences to keep things open is to wear masks, that whole... I think that whole messaging has been lost now, and people will go, what? But you said in March masks made no difference. So I think they're sort of laying the groundwork for a very difficult winter for themselves if they then try and say masks are the way to go again heading into winter, if you get my point.
I absolutely get your point. It's going to be, the further away you go, the harder it is to reintroduce. Do you know what I mean? And we are seeing restrictions coming back in Europe. We're lifting, but if you look towards Asia, I mean, is one city not split in two? Where if
but in fairness, they're shutting Shanghai down completely because of 20,000 cases in the whole of March. We had 20,000 cases in one day. I mean, that's you don't want that, do you?
No, I don't know, but I can see, and I do think that it was like, it did feel like, oh, Boris has got rid of it, so we better do it. Do you know what I mean? If we're following that idiot, please,
right.
John,
you were going to come in on. John, very finally before the break, you were going to come in on that, please.
I was going to say here that the political system and the medical system have always been at variance to some degree or other right throughout the 2 years, and this is now more evident than ever because NEF has been disbanded. There's a new emergency team coming in there. We don't know when that's going to happen. We're in a vacuum at the moment. The country's trying to cope with a number of crises at the moment: the cost of living, inflation, and all of these things. Refugees coming in, trying to find houses for them. How many crises can the government manage at one time? Do they feel that this is probably the lesser one that we can actually ignore at this point? I don't believe that is the case.
Maybe it is, because, of course, a lot of the COVID recovery fund, the COVID contingency, is having to be diverted to house Ukrainians. So maybe you're onto something there.
But you see, like, the reality is here, it's It's being reactive rather than being proactive and looking ahead to next winter, as somebody said there, that are we going to have more jabs? Are we going to have booster doses? Most of the booster doses, I mean, I got a booster dose as far back as last September time. That probably is long since gone.
And
now.
no talk anymore of, tweaking the vaccine for new variants, because the variants change so quickly. We just don't hear about that as much. Listen, thank you very much for that so far, John. John McAteer, Katie Tyrrell McCafferty and Michael Harrison.
The 9 till noon show brought to you by Kelly's Toyota, Port Road, Letterkenny. Explore our wide range of virtual tools at kellystoyota.com.
Sportswear for men at Brian McCormick Sports and Leisure, Main Street, Letterkenny. Under Armour training, quarter zips, tech tees with classic training shorts in different lengths. Nike running range with quarter zips. Nike Pro t-shirts match with a classic 5-inch Nike running shorts. Adidas Tiro 21 range in new seasonal colours will have you looking healthy and fit. Look the part, play the part. In store or online. Click and collect on bmcsports.ie.
For a great early season lawnmower deal, visit Gartley Sales and Hire, exclusive stockist of Stiga in the Northwest. Mowers, trimmers and hedge trimmers. Full trade-in service available at Gartley Sales and Hire, Gartley, Letterkenny. Call 9126276.
On this week's Business Matters, I'm joined by Brendan Bradish O'Donnell, owner of the Glenties-based broadcasting and media company Bradish Video Productions. So join me, Kieran O'Donnell, for Business Matters on Sunday evening after the 6 o'clock news. Business Matters podcast is also available to download at highlandradio.com.
Business Matters in association with the Letterkenny IT Faculty of Business. Looking for a career in financial services? Consider the Level 9 MA in Governance, Compliance and Data Protection. Take the next step in your career and contact the Exec Ed Coordinator on 9186206 or email execed@lyit.ie today.
The cost of living? Oh. The rate of fuel? Oh. The price of 3 broadband? Ooh. Get 3 months free home broadband with no setup costs on Ireland's fastest 5G network. Only €39 per month after that. But hey, don't just take it from me. Take it from Sinead and Buncrana, who said, "It's great. We've 4 TVs, multiple laptops and PlayStations on the go. I've recommended it to everyone. I'd give it 10 out of 10. Sign up in our Buncrana store today." 3. For a better connected life. Minimum term and direct debit required. Speeds may vary, subject to availability. Fastest 5G network based on analysis by Ookla of speed test intelligence data Q3 to Q4 2021. See 3.ie.
A
caller says, if the Radisson cancelled the Taoiseach's meeting, is that not an insult to the leader of the country? Another, if the Taoiseach can't get staying in any hotel in Ireland without a public mica protest, then he no longer will have any hotel in Ireland to have a personal holiday break in. Hi, Greg. I think it's a shame Micheál Martin is not getting the opportunity to come to Letterkenny. I'm sure there went a lot of organising by the Letterkenny Chamber and indeed the hotel into this. The fact that Micheál Martin is meeting the Mica group later in the week, it's actually Saturday, was enough and let the Letterkenny meeting go ahead. Whether we like it or not, there is more issues to deal with than Mica. Another, there is a symptom of the road to Mica redress. So this is a symptom of the road to Mica redress being full of broken promises by Charlie, Micheál, Leo, Joe and co. How long do we have to hear them mislead and raise hopes? Another, was it the Radisson or was it Micheál Martin that cancelled the event? If it was the Radisson, then Letterkenny should rethink its business strategy. Well, it was, listen, the hotel can make its decisions for its own reasons, okay? It's got a lot of people to look after, or for whatever the reasons might have been. It was the hotel that cancelled. There was no alternative venue. There was a conversation between the Chamber and the Department of the Taoiseach, according to their own press release. A decision was made by the Chamber to cancel the event. This, despite the fact that Micheál Martin had agreed to meet with members of the Mica Action Group in Inishowen on Saturday. A protest goes ahead in Derry this evening, by the way, nonetheless. So that's the lay of the land. Right, okay, let's move on to our next topic. Michael, you're watching on, as we all are, to what's happening over in Ukraine, our reaction to it, and the fallout from that. Obviously, our principal concern is what's happening to the people of Ukraine. But also, obviously, so many of them having to flee their country. They're coming here. We're talking now about putting up sort of temporary shelters for them by way of tents in Cork and Dublin. And, of course, lots and lots of Ukrainians coming here. But then, of course, there is the impact, too, on life in terms of the talk of there being rationing of fuel dependent on, this standoff between Europe and Vladimir Putin as it relates to paying for fuel in rubles. So the Germans are planning for rations. It looks like we're going to have to plan for rations. What's your overview of the current state of play, Michael? I think you're muted there, Michael, are you? No, you're not, actually. I don't have the fader up. Go ahead, Michael. My fault. Go ahead.
There's definitely political brinksmanship ongoing at the moment, between Russia and between Europe. And it's listening to a podcast this morning. It's the amount of money that Russia takes in every day. It gets from fuel and gas every day. It really and truly, it probably wouldn't even keep the war going. So from a financial point of view, if they stop all the exports of their gas and oil, it is going to make life for them extremely difficult. But on the other hand, it doesn't, like, we get very, very little oil and gas from Russia, but at the same time, the Germans and the French and the Spaniards and the Italians in particular, they are going to be looking for it. It's going to massively push up.
I think 40% of gas into the EU comes from Russia. I mean, because Vladimir Putin has had years to prepare for this. The EU clearly didn't.
I say he has prepared. He has his war chest built up. He has his contingency plans in place. You can see already that the ruble decreased massively on the first few days of the war. The plans that they put in place has reversed that. The ruble is now higher than it was at the start of the day. They've reversed the stock market collapse. They have built up this massive war chest, but how long can this last? This was meant to be a very, very quick war. They were meant to be in and out very, very quickly, get control of the Ukraine. That hasn't happened, and the plans hasn't gone well. But it's how much pain can the ordinary people on the western fringes of Europe take with regards this completely and utterly unnecessary war that was started in the Ukraine. And I think we are, as ordinary people, we are going to be suffering the next few months. And you read about the articles about power costs, possible power costs, fuel rationing, and we're just out of 2 years of a COVID lockdown. You're just scratching your head. We're just going from one tragedy to another, or just one incident to another.
Yeah, exactly.
It is quite distressing, and a lot of people are under stress about this. Politicians really don't have any answers to give them because they haven't got any themselves. I think they're just trying to deal with it as best they can. But it'll be interesting the next couple of days. Today in particular, we'll see exactly where the energy crisis will go, exactly how serious the Russians are about the talk about that they were going to allow them pay for it in euros into a bank account in Russia, and then it would be converted into rubles. That was a solution that was offered last night, but I've no idea, but it is just quite distressing for
but we are talking about figuring out a way to do business with a country that is that has invaded and is trying to take over another, really, in a way. Katie, I mean, it's clear already, we're feeling it already, aren't we? Everyone's, depending on, unless you're very rich, we're all feeling the impact of this and looking towards the summer and maybe even into winter when we start using our energy more again. What will be the consequences? And the government have said they can't insulate us from this, that it is going to hit us hard.
Yeah, and I think on top of fuel poverty, which is a real big issue for a hell of a lot of people, feeling the pinch as such, and we could have more increases in fuel. Maybe it's time to buy that bit of bog. You know what I mean? To heat your house. It's and sanctions. Obviously, I'm in favour of trying to punish Vladimir Putin, but it will also punish ordinary Russians, a lot of whom are anti-war as well. We know that. We've seen the protests on the street. I have major concerns for the people of Ukraine, but I also do have some concerns for those ordinary Russians that are anti-war. Where are those people? We know that about 1,400 were arrested. But on a positive story from all of this, yesterday I spent, yesterday afternoon, we laid on an afternoon tea up in Errigal College for the 19 Ukrainian students that are starting on Monday. It was a lovely day.
How are they? Is it clear I mean, obviously you speak to some people that have come here, they spent some time in Poland, others came straight from, besieged areas of Ukraine. Like, what was your sense you got from the ones you were engaging with?
Right.
As to how this has affected them or is affecting them?
We're really lucky in that we have two parents that are Russian speakers in Errigal, and then we have two members of staff up in Errigal that second language is Russian. So the kids' English is really good. And I spoke to one woman and she said, "Would you like to hear my story?" And I said, "Absolutely." She said, "Please excuse my English. Every time you go abroad and you meet someone foreign and they go, 'Oh, my English is not great,' their English is better than mine. Do you know what I mean?" And they say they hate you for a start. She was saying 16 hours on a train like a sardine to get to Poland, 10 days in Poland, then moved to Germany to settle. She said, "But my second language is English."
Yeah.
She said, "I spent a year in England, wanted to go to England, found 10 families to sponsor her in England. But because one of her kids didn't have his passport," she said, "I only had time and I grabbed the ID card. Miss Lovely Pretty Patel said no."
Yeah.
So, and then they said, "Have you thought about Ireland? It's English speaking." And she said, "Right." And she said, and then I just got on this bus and ended up in Letterkenny.
And did they say what they hope for the future? I mean, obviously they want the war to end, but they want to, I mean, any Ukrainians I've engaged with, they want to get back to rebuild their home just as soon as possible. They don't want, they appreciate the hospitality, but they don't want to be here. They want to be in their country, rebuilding it.
She said, "I want to go home." She said, but the generosity that she has been shown by Ireland has blown her away.
Yep.
Absolutely blown her away.
I was at the petrol pumps yesterday, and I noted, and I've seen it before, but I was just thinking, the minimum delivery for fuel is, for your car or something is 5 litres at the pump I was at, 5 litres. So for like, if you went to sort of just try and keep your car running, the least you could spend at the moment in some places, it's 2.05 in some places. My maths isn't fantastic, but you're heading towards €11. The minimum you could spend, it's not that long ago, and I mean this literally, it's not that long ago, whereby, you wouldn't have, personally me, €11 on a Thursday before you got paid on a Friday. I mean, that's how we get forced into these decisions as it relates to fuel versus food, isn't it? I mean, the minimum you can put in your car right now in some places is €11, and sometimes you just simply don't have that money.
You see, it's only then that you begin to realise the huge increases that there has in the prices of fuel at the pumps in the last couple of months. But we're talking there about sanctions. I think one of the biggest fault lines and difficulties for the EU is that member states are not obliged to reveal how much they're cutting back on Russian energy. That's especially gas and fuel. I heard Mairead McGuinness been challenged very heavily on this by Stephen Sacker on Hard Talk on the BBC sometime Wednesday morning. And she talked over him but didn't provide any answers. They are talking roughly about cutting back entirely within 7 years. That just doesn't look to be on the cards. Michael referenced the fact there that the Russian ruble has bounced back again, stronger than ever. That is because the fuel is continuing to be bought by Germany and by...
I think it's 500 million euro a day. I read somewhere.
I think it's probably, it could actually, between gas and oil, it was $1 billion a day before the war broke out. And that's a colossal amount of money. Now, we have made very little progress in getting rid of fossil fuels, and this has been brought home to us here, that we're still so heavily reliant. And one of the other points that Mairead McGuinness made, that when she's been challenged about the power stations been run on gas, and that was completely out of kilter with the global warming environment. She simply said that hydrogen was the gas would be remain until they were, if maybe 10 years, 12 years down the road, when they would be hydrogen powered. So obviously they're at 6 and 7 as to how they're going to handle Russia. I think they're handling it much worse than we realise, because it's up to each member state to decide how much we can afford not to take.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, if that is the situation, then that the war is going to continue indefinitely, because if Russia was to pull their supplies entirely, they would literally shut down most of the European economy, especially in Germany, France, Belgium, Holland, those countries. So I don't think we're all that consciously aware of the implications, because we're not buying stuff directly from Russia. And Germany is 55% dependent for energy. Now, they can't cut out 55%. If they cut 5%, it might be the height of it. You know, I think within a year they might be hoping to cut it by 25%, but to cut it entirely within 7 years, it's like finding a totally new source of energy.
Well, you can imagine Putin sitting there going, when they heard that announcement, going, yeah, right. Michael, I think it's generally accepted that Ukraine can't win this war on the ground with Russia. It simply can't, because of the resources and the power that Russia has. So as we try and find out how this might come to an end, it's going to be a negotiated end. What concessions do you think would be... do you believe that Ukraine is going to have to make concessions in the wider context of what's been going on for the last, 20 years, not necessarily talking from, day one of the war, a negotiated settlement with concessions on both sides is the only way to end this, really, isn't it?
That's the problem for the Ukrainians. But how do you negotiate with somebody that already has told lies, is a proven liar? And like, how many times were they asked prior to the invasion in February, were they going to invade? Like the Americans, the Ukrainians themselves, they all said that Russia's going to invade us, but time after time after time, the Russians denied it.
I'm not contradicting you, but the United States was saying that Russia is going to invade Ukraine. The Ukraine government at that time actually was saying, you're playing it up too much. This is damaging our economy. We're getting no indication that this is imminent. Now, I don't know what was going on in there. I'm not contradicting you, Michael, but it's just, I remember at that time it was quite an interesting sort of week or two where the Ukrainians seemed to be playing down the threat of an invasion.
But how do you as a Ukrainian, how do you negotiate, with somebody that, that they already have a peace deal regarding the Donbass that was agreed in 2014, and the justification for this war was nonsensical. There's no country has the right to invade another country using the rationale that Russia used for invading the Ukraine. It is absolutely completely illegal. And how do you negotiate with somebody that is totally and utterly untrustworthy? I honestly think that if this wants to end, it will be on Putin's terms. He has to be given an off-ramp. There doesn't seem to be any visible off-ramp for him to use at the moment. I don't think he has any intention of ending this war shortly, and he will wait and see exactly how much the Ukrainians give, and if he thinks that they're going to give something, he will look for more, and he will look for more. And it's a very, very difficult situation. I don't envy anybody that is from that country, that lives in this country, that's going through what they're being put through at the moment. These are ordinary people. They're just the same as us, and their houses, their lives have been destroyed. It's very, very sad. Yeah,
and Katie, and Michael mentioned earlier, obviously, the main people who are the victims of this are those cowering underground as the shells fall around them. But it does feel like one thing after another. It's hard, isn't it, to sort of stay in a positive place in your head. We try our best, of course, but it's tough, isn't it? Because we're just out of COVID, and then we're hearing, well, you're not out of COVID. And then we hear what's happening in Ukraine, and then we're being told that we're facing a very tough, God knows how long. Like it wears you down emotionally, doesn't it? As I say, that's not for a second taken away from the actual nightmare that it is for the people of Ukraine and Russia, actually.
And even in Ireland, we went from COVID into a week of quite damaging storms, so we had COVID, a week of really damaging storms. Then we've gone into a war. We've been told to we've got to tighten our belts and watch our electricity usage, because because of an increase in prices. I myself have noticed the increase in food prices. I think, I could do a decent shop for about €100, and now it's 110, 115, 120.
Edging up, yeah, I get you. All right, John, last word to you if you want.
I think until the sanctions are made to bite much, much stronger, and I think...
But we're still buying the oil and gas, you see. I mean, that's the biggest sanction, isn't it? But they've got the upper hand on that.
They have got the upper hand on it, and Putin sees very clearly, first of all, he sees the weakness of NATO, which has been run down as a military entity for the past 25 years. But the sanctions are not biting strong enough, and sanctioning oligarchs and people like that, Putin doesn't give two flying fiddles about those people. He would as soon ignore them as he is ignoring the pleas to sit down and negotiate a deal. Okay. Because like at the end of the day, it's only through negotiation and probably a very strong third party, perhaps the Chinese president coming in there and saying, look, enough is enough. In the meantime, we're going to have to bear with it because life is difficult enough for people. As you say, the trauma of trying to watch that at night, people, you're best not to watch too much of it because you're adding layer and layer of anxiety onto anxiety that you've been suffering for the past 2 years, and that's leading to depression, and we need to get away from that.
Yeah, you do have to, and even as someone who works in news myself, and I've said it here, get your information. It's good to be right across the information, but you have to give yourself a break from it as well from time to time. John, listen, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Greg.
All right, take care of yourself. Thank you very much indeed. Katie, thank you so much indeed as well. Good to see you.
Yeah, thank you very much. As you can see, I've still kept the office going.
Yeah, I say that. So it wouldn't be the same if you were indoors. But it's hard to get peace, isn't it? It's hard to get peace to have a conversation for an hour. Yeah. I know myself. Thank you so very much indeed,
thank you.
Katie. And last, certainly not least, I've actually chucked Michael Harrison out before I got to thank him. Thank you very much indeed to Michael Harrison. Okay, back with more after these messages. Your views, by the way, I want to know what you think of the issues we've been discussing. Raise your own issues as well. Get involved in the conversation.
The 9 till noon show brought to you by Kelly's Toyota, Port Road, Letterkenny, with offers on a wide range of passenger and commercial vehicles.
A public interest message from Donegal County Council. Over a quarter of drivers and passengers killed on Irish roads in 2021 were not wearing a seatbelt. 27% of fatalities were not wearing a seatbelt in 2021. 10% of those seriously injured between 2017 to 2020 were not wearing a seatbelt. 17% say they don't always wear a seatbelt when travelling in the back seat of a car. Seatbelts are proven lifesavers, and putting one on before starting a journey should be a priority for everyone. Seatbelts save lives. Please wear one. Donegal County Council, helping to make our roads a safer place for everyone.
With Donegal's largest selection of pre-owned vehicles, at iMotors we are confident we have your next car. All of our cars come with a 12-month warranty. Come visit our showrooms in Letterkenny or Malin. We have also now extended our opening hours on Saturdays at our Letterkenny showroom from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Finharps are back in action after the international break with 3 home games in a row. The first 2 are this Friday, April 1st against Shamrock Rovers and next Monday the 4th against Drogheda United. Join us on Highland for updates from the 8 o'clock kick-off from both games.
Finharps on Highland in association with B&S Credit Union Ballybofey, where their special car loan rate is now on offer. Own your car from the start with a fast, flexible and affordable loan from B&S Credit Union. Visit bnscu.ie or free phone 1800 290 390. B&S Credit Union Limited is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Thinking of a sun holiday with the family? You can now fly to Barcelona 3 times weekly this summer with Ryanair and enjoy some of Europe's best family campsites. Ireland West Airport, you're flying.
Okay, so a largely dry start this morning with some early bright spells. However, rain will move in from around midday, feeling cool at times with highest temperatures of 6 to 8 degrees in a light to moderate northerly wind. Okay, we've plenty to come on the programme to keep you informed and entertained. After 11 o'clock, Michael and Fanula will be rejoining us to discuss all things entertainment as we ease into the weekend. But as it approaches 10 o'clock, we take a break now for the news and obituary notices. Stay tuned.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. It's 10 o'clock. I'm Catherine Gaffney. Households are being advised to use their dishwasher and washing machine at night to curb energy costs. The government is looking at the possibility of introducing time of day pricing, which would see the cost per unit reduced at certain times. It comes after Electric Ireland became the latest company to announce a price hike earlier this week, with bills set to rise by 23.4%. Consumer journalist Siobhan Maguire explains the government's plans.
The latest idea is that we would see a move that would incentivise households to use high energy appliances late in the evening or overnight when cheaper rates apply. So it would be more expensive to use electricity at peak times between 7 and 9 in the morning and 5 and 7 in the evening.
It's emerged 60 workers were sent home from Killybegs port yesterday after a Danish vessel was unable to land its catch. The CEO of the Irish Fish Processors and Exporters Association says there's outrage at the port after the ship was forced to withdraw due to a rule being introduced which resulted in over 1,000 tonnes of blue whiting unable to be weighed using a pierside weigh system. Brendan Byrne says this is yet again another example of the total disregard for the fishing industry in Ireland.
It shows to the latter extent of how dysfunctional the management of the entire fishery here in Ireland has become from the competent authority and from a complete lack of interest and disconnect on the part of the government. Here you have a vessel that wished to do business with Ireland and they had to leave port to go to any other European port because there's greater rights and they will be afforded the courtesies of landing fish in any other port in Europe apart from any port in Ireland.
High energy prices may be the straw that breaks the camel's back for fishermen. That's according to Donegal Deputy Padraig McLaughlin, who told the Dáil that the fishing industry was in the midst of a crisis long before energy price hikes. He pressed Minister for Agriculture, Food and the Marine, Charlie McConalogue, to follow the lead of France and Spain and intervene. Deputy McLaughlin says the sector is being severely impacted.
Apart from a tie-up scheme which is linked to the existing Brexit Adjustment Reserve Fund, what are you doing for the fishing industry? They literally cannot go to sea. This impacts, of course, on food supply. This impacts on an industry that has been really, really hard hit from Brexit. As you know, 60 boats further will decommission. You're down to 30% of what the fleet used to be, above 18 metres. It's already an industry in crisis. This is going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back. What are you going to do?
In response, Minister McConalogue says he is committed to working with the sector to navigate these uncertain times.
We'll continue to liaise very closely with them because it's a really important, massively important sector, particularly for our own county, and it's really important that we work with them through this period of time, and I'll continue to do that.
The Tourism Minister says the number of visitors to Ireland this year could be 80% of pre-pandemic levels. Minister Catherine Martin says Ireland is looking at having a more positive tourism season.
Pre-pandemic, we had 10 million international visitors, and the 10 million visitors were worth 9.3 billion to our economy. So if we can get to that in the summer, all the indications were that we would see the change and the appetite, and we'd see the feet on the ground of the tourists from end of April onwards.
And Donegal ETB has published its strategy statement, which sets out annual service plans up to 2026. In a statement, Donegal ETB says it will meet future challenges with renewed commitment and will help make Donegal and the North West City region one of the best places in Ireland to live and learn. With more, here's Michaela Clark.
Donegal ETB has set out a number of priorities over the next 5 years. They include achieving the highest quality standards of teaching, learning and assessment across all education and training programmes, offering education and training programmes and support services that meet the needs of students, society and the economy. Another priority is to create and maintain a culture of achievement, innovation, accountability and public service, further developing links with national and international partners to help make Donegal a great place to learn, live and work, playing a leading role in forming local and regional partnerships that will improve educational, social and economic outcomes for Donegal, and finally supporting staff to achieve their full potential and perform their roles to the highest professional standards.
Weather now, a largely dry start this morning with some early bright spells. However, rain will move in from around midday, feeling cool at times with highest temperatures of 6 to 8 degrees. That's it for now. We're back with the headlines for you at 11 o'clock. Until then, good morning.
The obituary notice is for this Friday morning, April the 1st. The death took place on April the 3rd, 2020 of Willie Duffy, Ballymagayan, Carrickeel. A memorial mass will now take place on Sunday morning at 10 o'clock in St Columba's Church, Massmount, Fanid. Mass can be viewed on St Mary's, Fanavolti and St Columba's Massmount Facebook page. The death has taken place of Connie Ewing, nae Macatir, Cloughfin, Castlefin and formerly of Strabane. Funeral leaving Quigley's Funeral Home this evening at 5:30 to the Sacred Heart Church, Derry Road, Strabane. Requiem Mass tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. Interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Donations in lieu of flowers please to ICU, Letterkenny University Hospital, care of Quigley Funeral Directors. The Requiem Mass can be viewed live via the parish webcam. The death has occurred of Bridie Farrell, Gorton and Grace, Castlefin. Bridie's remains are reposing at Lynch's Funeral Home. Removal from there this afternoon at 2 o'clock to her late home at Gorton and Grace, Castlefin. Funeral from her late home tomorrow morning at 10:20 for Requiem Mass at 11 o'clock in St Columba's Church, Donnylip. Interment afterwards in the adjoining churchyard. The death has occurred of Bridget Rogers, Cranagig, Crawley. Her remains are reposing at McGlynn's Funeral Home. Viewing today from 11 o'clock with removal to her late residence at 7:30. House strictly private to family only. Funeral Mass tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock in Mina Wheel Chapel with interment afterwards in Mahary Cemetery. The death has taken place of Billy Graham, Tully Ramelton. His remains are reposing at his home. Funeral service tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock in Letcher Presbyterian Church. Burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. The death has occurred of Hugh Merlihan, 49, Ardnary, Letterkenny. Hugh's remains are reposing at the Eternal Light, Chapel Vrest, Mountaintop, Letterkenny. Funeral Mass at the Church of the Irish Martyrs, Letterkenny, this afternoon at 1 o'clock. Burial afterwards in Comwell Cemetery. House strictly private please. The funeral mass can be viewed on the Irish Martyrs Facebook page. And the death has taken place of Patrick Duffy, Carrickattaskin, Derrybeg. His remains will repose at Rorty's Funeral Home, Gweedore from 5 until 6:30 this evening. Removal at 6:30 to St Mary's Church, Derrybeg for 7 o'clock to repose overnight. Funeral Mass in St Mary's Church, Derrybeg tomorrow at 12 noon with burial afterwards in Maharagallen Cemetery. The funeral mass can be viewed live on Kieran Rorty Funeral Director Facebook page and on the parish webcam. For more details, including any family health guidelines for wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
With all the stories that matter across the Northwest, it's Greg Hughes on the 9 to Noon Show on Highland Radio.
And a big thank you again to John McAteer, Katie Tyrrell McCafferty and last but not least Michael Harrison. A caller says, is Micheál Martin showing up in Dunlow this weekend for their Ogra meeting? I don't know. I haven't seen his I haven't seen his agenda. Greg, I work in a fuel shop and the next delivery will cost €2.07 and that'll be in the next day or two. Yeah, indeed. Okay, that's a concern. Some already up over €2 per litre, dependent on where you are. Another caller says, so Taoiseach can meet in Derry but not Letterkenny. What can one say? Another, our Taoiseach goes into hiding when in Donegal. People are angry with the way they in power run our little country. I believe that Fianna Fáil senior advisors decided against the meeting, but they are trying to save face and blame the hotel. Blame the hotel what they do rather than the alternative, i.e. the truth. Look, I mean, there's a lot of people within Fianna Fáil would be very sympathetic, of course, the majority, all of them, I would say, to what's going on with the Mica people. If this had come from the Taoiseach's office, I think it would be very difficult to keep it a secret. The bottom line is that the hotel made a decision that, presumably in the interests of their other guests or whatever it might have been, to say that they can't host this lunch. And then the Chamber had no alternative but to cancel it in consultation with the Taoiseach's department because they had no alternative venue. What in turn does it say if our leader is afraid of his own people? Another Micheál Martin's no-show. This really brings home to us what this Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael government thinks of the Mica crisis. This is an issue that should have been sorted if they wanted to. Shame on them. And more here. What does your panel think of Eamon Ryan wanting people to share heating in their homes? Is it only me, or is this poor man having serious problems? Forgive me, but some of the things that man comes out with at this serious time, it is worrying to say the least. Okay, I didn't hear those comments. Another caller said, I think we are rolling head first into a major recession. Unfortunately, I think COVID will be secondary very quickly. The only problem with that is at the moment, and I'm not saying you're wrong, is the economy is still forecasted to grow. Another caller says, you cannot compare us to China. Are people so used to the government trying to control during lockdowns that they want to be told what to do again? Can they not think for themselves and put a mask on themselves if they want and leave everyone else alone? Yes, that's fine, and that's what's happening at the moment, and that is okay. But that's okay until you need to go into hospital and you can't get in because it's in chaos because of the amount of people with COVID that they're treating. I mean, that's the bottom line. You know, it's not really about you or I catching COVID, being fine and going back to work a week later. Good morning, Greg. What does it say when the Taoiseach of our country can't visit part of the state because its people have no belief in him and he has to cross the border to a UK region to receive a welcome? What in turn does it say about the support that people have in the current government? Another, so ignorant, weddings and first communions in the hotel tomorrow and MAG expect to be allowed to terrorise these people. Mike have got their 100% redress. Plenty of people down the country have houses flooded and no compensation from government. Well, we have that up here too, by the way. Also, people fleeing from Ukraine have nothing. If this is the ignorance they're met with, it's shameful. A shame to be from Donegal today. That comes in from Anne in Letterkenny. Look, I understand, Anne, where you're coming from. There was no intention to terrorise Micheál Martin. People are at their wits' end and they wanted to express that by protesting, and we still can protest in this country. I don't know if it's the geography of the place. I don't know, maybe the hotel there was guests that would be very sensitive to noise. I don't know what the reason is, but they made that decision. And I do have to say as well, of course, in fairness, a lot of people out there are Fianna Fáil voters and not just for that reason, but just to be fair to everyone, Micheál Martin had agreed to meet with the Mica Action Group in Inishowen on Saturday, and that is going ahead. Now, we can argue people will have different views as to whether or not calling the protest made that meeting happen. Charlie McConalogue and his office would tell you that he'd said in mid-March he would secure the meeting, but could only get confirmation closer to the time. I don't know. Lots of people out there with different views, but the bottom line is that meeting is going ahead with the Mica Action Group on Saturday. Obviously, the Letterkenny lunch, chamber lunch, is not going ahead now. There was perhaps a way that everything could have happened. Maybe the protest could have been called off, saying, look, we've got our meeting now. It took this protest and it took you, the people, to say that you were going to go out to protest to get this meeting, but there's no point having it now. But I don't know, we could never have predicted, or they could never have predicted then, that the hotel would have cancelled the lunch. So I don't know. It's very difficult. Everyone will have their own views and opinions, and there's a lot of them on it. but we are where we are. Greg, I'm sure any hotel in Inishowen will host the Taoiseach. Another, hi Greg, Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael and the Green Party. I hope to God are wiped out next time around. They couldn't run a bath. Right, I've read that again. There's no point going through that. Okay, 086 60 25,000, your views. I mean, of course, you have to walk on eggshells because this is a very, very serious matter, and people have everyone's view is correct in this one. Do you ever get one of those things that I think everyone can make a strong argument for their point of view as how things unfolded as it relates to the Taoiseach's visit to the region? So I don't know if there's a right or a wrong. There's just various shades of right and wrong and what's in between. All right, stay with us. Back after the bingo numbers.
It's time for NCBI Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Friday the 1st of April. You're playing on the yellow sheet. The reference number is S5. It's game number 13. The numbers are 39, 48, 23, 1, 27, 63, 50, 9, 68, and finally 40. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your NCBI bingo information at highlandradio.com.
The 9 till noon show with Kelly's Toyota, Port Road, Letterkenny, where you can care for your Toyota with a 2-year service pack from €299.
The award-winning Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic Udor offers the most advanced skincare treatments for men and women, treating conditions such as acne, skin tags, rosacea and scarring. As a qualified aesthetics practitioner, Mary Ferry offers a range of anti-aging treatments including dermal fillers, thread lifts, profilo, skin boosters, microneedling and LED light therapy. Hair and makeup also available. Download the Genesis Salon app today or call 07495 325 75.
Better value lives at Dunn Stores with big savings this Easter. Treat someone to a large Easter egg from Cadbury, Galaxy or Maltesers, now an incredible half price at just €3 each. Or mix and match from selected 2-litre soft drinks including Coca-Cola and 7up, any 3 for €5. Plus, with our 10 off 50 grocery voucher, you save even more. Which means every trip to Dunn Stores means better value. Dunn Stores, always better value. Terms and conditions apply. Voucher can be used in next grocery shop of €50 or more.
Hello there, this is Daniel O'Donnell here, and I'm delighted to be able to tell you that we're coming back to the Millennium Forum in Derry for a couple of concerts. We're going to be there on Wednesday, August 31st and Thursday, September 1st. Both these shows are going to be taped for American television, so I hope you can join us. See you then. That's the Millennium Forum, August 31st and September 1st.
Flanagan's massive half-price store clear-out sale is now on in Buncrana. 50% off Irish-made sofas, tables, beds, wardrobes, rugs and occasional furniture. Pay today and take it away. Furnish your home for half price. Don't miss out. www.flanagans.ie.
There's amazing deals every week at Watson Hire in Letterkenny. Great specials in tools, hardware and homeware. If you're a tradesperson or you're doing a one-off job, you'll find everything from power tools to hand tools and paint to work clothing. For great weekly deals and a great selection, visit Watson Hire at Kiltoy, Letterkenny. For more information, visit the Facebook page or see watsonhire.ie.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show, and delighted to welcome onto it Seamus Gunn of McLaughlin Gunn and Co, Letterkenny and Remoulton, taking your legal questions. 086 60 25,000 WhatsApps and texts, or give us a call on 074 91 25,000. Seamus, can you hear me okay? Hello, Seamus? Right, Seamus is muted there, so we'll get to Seamus in a moment. Get them into us, by the way, 086 60 25,000 WhatsApp and text, or give us a call on 074 91 25,000. By the way, I've been informed that the Watch Now link on our website might just not be functioning as it should, so we're going to look into that. If you want to watch the programme, by the way, you can go on to YouTube, Highland Radio Ireland, where a number of you are watching there. If you prefer, you can go to Facebook, Highland Radio, or Facebook, Highland Radio News and Sport. We'll be right back with Seamus taking your legal questions after we catch up on this short break.
The 9 till Noon Show brought to you by Kelly's Toyota, Port Road, Letterkenny. Home of the new Pro A City, your perfect business partner.
Often in life, you're told things are better together. Well, in this case, it's true. Blackrock Health is Ireland's newest private hospital group, uniting 3 respected modern hospitals and a diagnostic clinic. Conveniently located at the Blackrock, Galway, Hermitage and Limerick clinics, we offer quick and easy access to world-class clinical care and comfort, helping our patients make a faster recovery. Put your trust in our care. Learn more at blackrockhealth.ie. Blackrock Health. Better together.
Let's call out his name. Mike Denver in concert with guests Philomena Begley, Ray Lynham and Brendan Shine at the Millennium Forum Derry on Saturday, April 23rd. Tickets at the theatre box office. That's Mike Denver in concert at the Millennium Forum with Philomena Begley, Ray Lynham and Brendan Shine on Saturday, April 23rd.
Get luxury for less this Easter with Lidl's inflation-busting offers. We have delicious deluxe infused salmon sides for just $8.99. A bottle of award-winning Santa Million Grand Cru wine was $14.99, now only $11.99. And medium Smarties, Kit Kat and Cadbury Easter eggs, 3 for only €3. Lidl, more for you. Enjoy alcohol responsibly.
If you've got magic moments or great memories captured on your smartphone, now is a great time to have them printed at mcgee's.ie. Simply upload your favourite photos, choose your size and finish, and McGee's will take care of the rest, with the results delivered to your door. Prices are from just 12 cents, and there's also creative options available. Preserve your memories today at mcgee's.ie.
Often in life, you're told things are better together. Well, in this case, it's true. Blackrock Health is Ireland's newest private hospital group, uniting 3 respected modern hospitals and a diagnostic clinic. Conveniently located at the Blackrock, Galway, Hermitage and Limerick clinics, we offer quick and easy access to world-class clinical care and comfort, helping our patients make a faster recovery. Put your trust in our care. Learn more at blackrockhealth.ie. Blackrock Health. Better together.
Don't just do okay in your career. Do great at Allstate. Don't settle. Soar. Don't procrastinate. Innovate. Don't do mediocre. Do magnificent. At Allstate. Great work. Great life. Great people. Where great opportunities await. Search Allstate NI Careers today.
Rightio, you're very welcome back. Greg, shocking experience with a relative in ED yesterday. He was given a number of tests but needed more. There was no room for him in the ED and the hospital had no beds. They asked him to book into a local hotel and come back at 8 a.m. this morning for the rest of the tests. Hi, Greg. Any joy with people finding their passports in Ballybofey? Actually, thank you for reminding me. Yes, indeed, they did. They were a family, I believe, actually living in the county or staying. They weren't holidaying as such, and they were returned to them. I think it was the work of the Gardaí in the end that secured their return. So that's good news, isn't it? Hi, Greg. Just got a census form last night. The lady delivered asked me how many males, females will be here on Sunday night. Also asked me for my phone number to put it into her phone. Is this normal? I've heard it from a few people. Another, getting near census night and still haven't received my census form. I'm living in Ramelton. Anyone with any insight into that? Is there a number you can call to find out what the situation is in that regard, I wonder? Another caller says they don't care about Donegal. They haven't a clue how we live, us ordinary people. Another, hi Greg, can you get COVID twice straight away? It's in the community. Can you get it? I haven't heard that of people getting the same strain twice, to be honest with you, twice in a row. A caller says it's as if we learned nothing from the past 2 years, says another. Nobody is reporting the antigen tests when they are positive. If that's kind of true, I'm not going to lie. Maybe I didn't, because I didn't realise what the function or what the purpose of it was. The Pullenbun Crana is necessary as it is used for the college in Greencastle for sea survival, and it's the only one we have on this side of the border. The rest are all for leisure, okay? Another, hi, I'm an employer for the last 34 years. Just heard about the 10 sick days that's being introduced for employees. Everything is getting easier for the employees. I work about 60 hours a week to keep everything going, and it is getting more difficult all the time. The employers are forgotten. I would not recommend anyone to become an employer. Right, okay. Please could you mention our walk this Saturday, the 2nd of April at 10 a.m, leaving the Sleeve-Snacht Centre, heading for Sleeve-Snacht in aid of motor neuron disease and Pieta. It would be very, very much appreciated. Also a shorter walk leaving 11 a.m. for Barnon or the King, a smaller hill nearby. Tea and refreshments available afterwards at the Sleeve-Snacht Centre. Okay, more than happy to do that for you. Okay, we are joined on the programme now by Seamus Gunn. Seamus, good morning to you. Thanks for joining us.
Morning, Greg. How are you keeping?
I'm doing good. It's good to have you on the programme.
Yeah.
Okay, right.
Moving on.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. Listen, we were talking earlier on, it was mentioned in passing, the lapsing of this emergency legislation. What do you think of it? I mean, would it have been better to be kept on the statute books just in case? Is it easily reintroduced? What does it mean from a legal perspective?
It means could have profound implications, really, and that's one of the reasons why I think it is certainly worth referencing it in the context of it has been extended before. In a year past, the legislation which was brought in at this time of the year in 2020, and it was specifically brought in for the preservation and protection of public health, and it was supposed to be in the interest of public health that it would be there to give the Minister the powers that were necessary to bring in whatever restrictions needed to curb the COVID-19 spread. That makes a lot of sense, and people bought into it.
Mm-hmm.
That was extended a year ago in the light, and we all know all about all the lockdowns we came through, and that has continued. It was then to expire on it last night, the 31st of March, and I mean, only it's so serious you'd wonder, is it an April Fool that they couldn't have seen fit to extend it further? I'm not saying to use it, but that at least it's there, that it can be accessed, and if there are measures needed, that they can then be brought in without having to go back and reintroduce legislation. I would have thought, and given that I think it was during the week Mike Ryan of the WHO was saying that this COVID-19 remains an acute global emergency, and that were his words, and that restrictions should only be lifted in keeping with the capacity of health systems to deal with the situations in the countries as they go along, and he was advising or recommending a cautious approach. Now, to me, it beggars belief as to why this legislation, which is there on the statute book, should be allowed to lapse last night. What it means in practical terms is this: as from last night, there are no restrictions on travel to and from Ireland, and there can't be any introduced. Now, in practical terms, if you're going elsewhere, other countries will have them. But from the point of view of accessing Ireland, leaving Ireland, your COVID cert, your movement within Ireland, that no longer applies. With regard to restricting access or movements or regarding any entertainment or any curbs that might be needed, the mask wearing, as we know, was gone from last month. And I'm not saying that it's good to move on. Of course it is. But and this is this might just, but if you consider this for a second, at the start of this week in Shanghai, a city of massive 25 plus million people, it's 50% of it is locked down, and their cases are 3,500. 3,500.
Yeah, 20,000 for the entirety of March. But that being said, have they lost the public now in terms of? I mean, if they try and reintroduce stuff in winter, I think they will struggle, to be honest with you, because the message is coming across that really we don't need any restrictions. So they're not going to be able to come back to us in October or September or November and say, oh, we do need restrictions, because everyone will say, well, she says in March, there's no point. Unless it's a full lockdown, there's simply no point. And I don't think, even if they say yes, but this is an even more contagious, damaging variant, I'm not sure they'll get the public buy-in because of the way this has been handled. And I'm not saying I'm in favour of that, by the way, but just discussing it, because we're all probably going to have to live through it.
You know, it's valid to say about that. The public have bought in so well to date. My point is this, that it was as easy to keep that as to let it go, and to have it there as a safety net or a safeguard in case it is needed. It just doesn't seem to me to be sensible, given the level of numbers. And it's wonderful that they're not being converted to very, very serious cases in hospitals and that. But the HSE, as we all know, is creaking beyond its knees. Someone said the elastic band is broken. And, with 6,000 plus out as a result of the 7-day layoff, which may now change, that is a situation that is critical. And you have to have, if you're in government, the powers to introduce measures that would be relevant and appropriate and measured to meet the circumstances that the health service finds itself in. What you've done here is, to me, it seems like an own goal. You've removed the piece of legislation that would give you that power if you needed it. I'm not advocating that it has to be used, but I don't see why it should be allowed to lapse. And I also would be surprised if there had been any opposition with it being just extended for another 6, even 12 months.
But this was all introduced at very short notice. Yeah, if this was all introduced at very short notice, sure, what's stopping them just reintroducing it again at very short notice, if need be?
Because the point that you have already made, and you've answered that yourself, is that you believe then it'll become a public issue and the public may not buy into it.
Okay.
So it may not be brought in just on a whim the next time round. You'll recall, Greg, when it was brought in 2020, March 2020, we were starting this journey at that stage, and public opinion will have shifted. But if we had it still in the legislation on the books, it could still be activated if needs be. And I say I'm not advocating that it should be, but I can't see why it was allowed to lapse.
No, neither am I. Okay. Some questions. Actually, Mike, there's another thing I wanted to get your views on. Personal injuries guidelines, challenges to them begin midweek in the High Court. What is the importance or consequence of that potentially?
This is very practical importance for an awful lot of people that will have been involved in situations through no fault of their own, and they're advancing a personal injury claim. And all the landscape has changed completely since March 2021, when new Judicial Council guidelines were brought in. They were adopted by the judiciary back then. And the knock-on effect, to cut to the chase, is that has had a drastic impact on the level of awards of personal injuries, general damages in respect of people who have been injured in accidents or places of work or on public thoroughfare or local authority type cases. So initially it was thought that awards would go from down by 40%. Now the case that has opened this week in the High Court has been brought by a lady down in County Waterford who went through the Personal Injury Assessment Board process. At her claim lodged before the new regime kicked in. Her case was an ankle injury, would have had a value in general terms, general damages of between 18 and 25,000. The PIAB award has come in at 3,000. Now, it beggars belief that is not even 40% of what she could have been anticipating with the new Judicial Council guidelines. But PIAB have come in at that. And what that is going to result on in real terms is this, Greg, and it is worth, and the insurers should take note of this. The reason the Personal Injury Assessment Board was brought in as far back as 2003 was to try to bring down, to put some certainty on awards, and also to curtail legal costs in respect of pursuing these claims. That was the purpose of it. What's going to happen now, if this remains as is that these awards are so off kilter that they don't represent the value of claims, that they're going to all be challenged. PIAB was actually working all right. 70 or 80% of the cases were being dealt with at that level and weren't even being advanced to court. Now what's going to happen on this case in point, which has started now in the High Court, and be interesting to see how it runs, because they're going to say it's unconstitutional, that it's based on UK and Northern Ireland and Welsh awards. So what's going to happen is that this is going to be a challenge, and whether these guidelines will stand up to scrutiny or not, we're going to find out. But in the meantime, these awards are going to be brought through the courts. So while the Injuries Board was brought in to reduce the awards and to curtail costs, there's going to be far more legal costs now incurred in having to pursue these claims, which are, in my view, most of them going to be rejected through litigation and through the courts. So it's defeating itself. It'll be very interesting to watch. The case just opened midweek, and it's a Dungarvan case, but it opened in the High Court, and a lot is riding on it, and a lot is riding on it from the insurance companies' point of view as well.
All right, well, we look forward to getting your views on that, actually, down the line. Some of your questions. If a couple cancel a pre-booked wedding at a venue, there would be financial penalties for them. Refunding a deposit wouldn't suffice as compensation for cancellation. Sorry, that's actually a comment. I'll come back to that. All right, my friend is going through a separation, and the ex-partner has got an auctioneer to value their jointly owned property at an unbelievable low value in favour of the ex-partner. I was wondering, is the auctioneer breaking the law, and who could this issue be reported to, as I thought the law was to be fair to all parties. I appreciate your help with this issue.
Yeah, well, I mean, they were asking a very direct question about whether an auctioneer is breaking the law, and I can't see how that arises. An auctioneer is given an opinion as to the value of a property in respect of which they have been retained on behalf of one of the parties. Nothing untoward or nothing unusual about that at all. The IPAV, that's the Auctioneers and Valuers, the Institute, is the relevant institute with regard to the regulation of auctioneers, and if somebody has an issue with that, they could certainly probably contact them and make their inquiry. But as the question is phrased and as the party makes it, I would suggest that the way of dealing with this is, and they're making this inquiry on behalf of a third party, I see, is that if the property is owned jointly, which they're saying it is, it's also within the right of the other party to retain a valuation on the property. And it would be my view in this particular case, if I was approaching it, I would likely get the opinion of 3 valuers.
Yeah, I just have a sense...
And then I would take an average of the 3 as being a reasonable view on what the valuation is. I would not be proceeding, and I don't think it would be well advised to be proceeding on the basis of one valuation. I'm a little bit surprised about that, but them suggesting that the auctioneer is untoward, I don't see that in it.
Yeah, I get the feeling that maybe one party is buying the other's half out of the property. They believe that they believe the auctioneer is being quite favourable to the person who's doing the buying out. But as you say, it would not be unreasonable to get multiple valuations and take an average.
Well, and the way around that, and that's a good, sensible approach to avoid going into the family law division or whatever, trying to take an action in the circuit court with the costs that follow on from that. So it's a sensible approach. But if you're going to approach it, don't go on the basis, one party has a value. Of course, they may want to buy out at the best price. Nothing unreasonable about that. But if you want to defend your corner, I would suggest that you go ahead and you obtain the valuation. As I'm saying, I'm just suggesting the 3, because then you can take an average. You could take one from each of the parties and another independent one that maybe both parties, if you wish, they could nominate, and then take an average from there and move it on the basis of that valuation and see where you go with it to avoid maybe the extra cost that could be incurred, and then work it out by way of a separation or a type of a separation agreement, whereby if it is the case, one could buy the other out.
If a will is made and one child is left out and each other member of the family get a share, can the child left out contest that will? A grandchild has also been left a share, but no other grandchildren were included. Does that grandchild have more entitlements than the child? So start with I suppose sons and daughters, one's been left out, and then one particular grandchild has been included whilst others have been left out.
Yeah, well, first of all, I think we have to remember at all times it's up to the person making the arrangements to be satisfied with whatever arrangements they put in place. And that is their privilege to deal with their estate as they see fit. And I think that it's extremely important to keep that in mind, because a lot of people naturally, and it is human nature, can be disappointed with respect to one making arrangements and how an estate is devised and which members of the family are favoured, maybe some better than others. But you have to respect that the person making the arrangements is entitled to do that. The point that the caller is, I believe, working towards or hinting at is that under the Succession Act, it's Section 1, maybe 1.7 or thereabout, you can challenge if a child has not been provided for properly in the arrangements of a person or deceased in the manner in which a prudent parent should have provided. Now, I have to say there's a big qualification on that, because my interpretation of that is that that would apply in a situation where somebody, a prudent parent, may not have provided for a disadvantaged child or an underage child. But if you're talking about an adult situation where that does not arise, well, it may not give rise to any type of claim. There's nothing to stop somebody advancing a claim. Really what they're asking here is, would they be entitled as of right to make a claim and to win that case? That definitely does not automatically follow. They'd have to be able to show that they were disadvantaged in some way, that a prudent parent in the circumstances of making provision for that child would have done so and should have done so, and make that application to the court. The risk to the grandchild, no, they would not have any more rights, but again, it's up to the parent, the testator or testatrix, to make whatever arrangements they see fit for the grandchild, if that's their wish.
Okay, lastly then, if a couple's separated, both names are on the mortgage, but the site is owned by one person, can the property be sold?
Yes, it can be sold. If it's not sold by agreement, Greg, they would have to then apply and get an order for sale through the circuit court, and there follow it through. The mortgage, which is between them both jointly, would be paid off, and then maybe depending on what equity was put into it, as in what contributions were made by each of them, there could be a council inquiries in respect of that, and the proceeds ultimately divided. Well, and I can't make a call as to how they would be divided. The interesting point, because it's registered in one name, but if they've both equally contributed to it, it could be a situation where it could then, after all debts, be split 50-50. But again, I'll just go back to what we mentioned earlier. In these situations, if you can reach agreement, it does curtail the costs of the litigation, and it also irons out the issues at an earlier stage, so there's not as much to litigate, and that can have a very good effect on the outcome for the parties, because it will reduce the legal bill drastically, and the case could move forward on the basis of the terms of consent being ruled before the circuit court.
And
so
just on that, I mean,
always keep that in mind.
It's obviously a difficult conversation to have, or maybe really uncomfortable, when love is in the air. But should couples really be sorting that stuff out in the event of something going wrong?
Yeah. Well, we're going USA now, Greg. I think we're getting near there.
With prenup.
Type of a prenuptial prenuptial agreement is the way to be going there. And while they may not be legally binding, if a couple do then split up, a court could reference such an agreement in relation to how they would divide up the assets in that eventuality. So it's not a bad plan, but the love may go out of the air very quick once it's mooted.
Exactly, that's it. Walk that line. Seamus Gunn of McLaughlin Gunn and Co. Letterkenny, Ramelton, obviously offices in both towns. If people have a question or query and they want to contact you online as well, how do they do so, Seamus?
Yes, if they go to donegalsolicitors.ie, Greg, or gun.ie, they'll get us there.
Super stuff. As always, thank you very much indeed, Seamus Gunn. All right, it is the 9 till noon show. Back with more shortly.
The 9 till noon show brought to you by Kelly's Toyota. Test drive Toyota's incredible self-charging hybrid range at our showroom, Port Road, Letterkenny.
With the brighter days, it's only natural to think about freshening up the paintwork in our homes, bringing colour and vibrancy to our living spaces. But the important thing isn't just the colours we choose, it's the paint. Fleet Wood use the highest quality ingredients for a richer colour and smoother finish that lets you wipe away the marks of everyday life. And it's Irish made, designed to work with the ever-changing Irish light. Would one range of paints transform your home? Fleet Wood would, naturally.
Where should you be dining out? Find out in Life magazine's special edition, free with April 3rd's Sunday Independent. Food critic Lucinda O'Sullivan reveals her 100 best restaurants in Ireland, including her top 10 in Northern Ireland. Don't forget to pick up your Life magazine with this week's Sunday Independent, up close and independent.
Hi everyone, Jean Kern here to let you know that the Highland Radio Book Club is back. Our first book of the season is The Nightingale by American author Kristen Hanna. Set in France during World War II, Vianne Mauriac says goodbye to her husband Antoine as he heads for the front. She doesn't believe that the Nazis will invade France, but they do. In droves of marching soldiers, caravans of trucks and tanks, in planes that fill the sky and drop bombs upon the innocent. When a German captain requisitions Vianne's home, she and her daughter must live with the enemy or lose everything. Without food, money nor hope, as danger escalates all around them, Vianne is forced to make one impossible choice after another to keep her family alive. Described as a heart-wrenching and compelling novel, it is a story perhaps more relevant today as we witness the horrors of war in Europe once more. We will be reviewing the book on my show on Sunday the 24th of April, and as usual, if you would like to take part or give your comments, email me jeancurran@highlandradio.com or tune in to the show on the night.
Caller says, I would agree with the person who mentioned about employers having to comply with all the rules and regulations for employees. I would also say to anybody setting up their own business, don't do it. I was in business for 40 years and there's no way I advise anyone to do it. Unions and people in government are making decisions that the employer has no input into and eventually forces the employer out of business. Okay. Could you tell Anne from Letterkenny it was going to be a respectful protest? Obviously, Anne doesn't have Micah or have any family member with Micah. We are at our wits' end. We built our home like everyone else with the intention of doing it once in our lifetime. Yeah, and it's with the passing of time and those who aren't directly affected, it might be easy to forget what's happening to people. We've heard all the stories on this programme and each one a devastating situation for each family. It can be easy to forget if you're not directly affected, not for those living in these homes. They're dealing with it every single day. Hi, Greg. The people that have Micah House have any right to fight for their home, and shame on the government that he won't face the Donegal people. So maybe it's back to Dublin once again, and maybe that is the way things are going to go. Right. Can you please play a song for Kieran Doherty, Finton and Emma Lafferty, Malin Road, Carndonna, who get married tomorrow? Looking forward to seeing you both on Saturday. Love Elaine and Paul. Can you please wish the best mother in the world a happy special birthday? Eileen Tolan from Lifford. Have a special day. Not forgetting Granny, Josie too, from Barry, Denise and family in Athlone. And can you wish Kevin McBride a happy birthday? He's the big 5 today. Happy birthday to you. All right, that is Blondie there and Call Me. Right, now, moving on. And it emerged 60 workers were sent home from Kittybegs yesterday. This after a Danish vessel was unable to land its catch. There's outrage, as you can imagine, at the port after the ship was forced to withdraw due to a rule introduced which resulted in over 1,000 tonnes of blue whiting unable to be weighed using a pierside weigh system. This is the first time a boat has left Kittybegs full of fish. Will they be back? Probably not. Why would you? Cormac Burke is chair of the Irish Fishing and Seafood Alliance based out of Kittybegs. Thanks for taking the call with us this morning, Cormac.
Good morning, Greg.
Right, so, I mean, what happened here? Is this a communications issue? Did the boat not know that they couldn't land in this way? Or what unfolded as much as you've been able to determine?
Well, basically, Ireland has a much smaller quota of blue whiting in its own waters than some other nations, and that's an argument for another day.
That's a whole hour we could do on that one.
Yeah. But so the whole town of Kittybegs, not just processors but all the local service companies, once the Irish fleet have tied up and exhausted their own quota, they rely on Danish and Norwegian vessels bringing blue whiting to Kittybegs, which keeps the town going maybe for an extra 2 months or so after the Irish have finished. And blue whiting was at one time solely for commercial, for fish meal, but Ireland, along with several other countries, developed a human consumption product, which has a lot of markets, particularly in Africa. And for this, the vessels don't fully fill their tanks with fish. They keep them well flooded with maybe 50% water, because these fish are easily damaged if they're crushed. So this is an important fishery, and like I say, Danish and Norwegian vessels come to Kittybegs with their tanks only half full, and this fish is carefully handled and processed. Now, in their wisdom, the SFPA, out of the blue yesterday, decided that they would force this vessel to what we would call dry land its fish. In other words, put the fish into bulk containers with only 2% water allowed, and then it supposedly goes for processing. Now, with this fish, which is carefully brought in tanks, 50% water, all the way to Ireland, is then squashed into a tanker with 2% water.
Right, so can I break this down into terms that I might understand? I imagine then this, as it's, and I presume it's servicing a vital food need in Africa. But once this water is drained, obviously then the weight begins to destroy the product, does it? The downward pressure without the assistance of the buoyancy of water.
Yeah, so it basically turns to mush and is no good to anyone. It could still be used for fish meal because that's animal feed, and the retention of water is not as important. But it destroys it in terms of human.
I know you're not here to argue the SFPA's point of view, and they're probably following rules, okay? But can you understand why they made this decision?
No, there's absolutely no. I can't even describe this as incompetence, because it seems to be the damage that it's going to do to the local industry has done already. It's unbelievable. I should point out that originally Ireland had a derogation that allowed for the weighing of fish after transport. So in other words, you could have as much water as you want, and it would go to the factories and it would be monitored and weighed during the processing. And then the SFPA several years ago decided they would no longer.
And there's a chain of events that kind of led to that as well.
I mean, again, that's another story. But there is a flow scales weighing machine on the pier, which cost a lot of money, and the industry invested in it. And a High Court ruling said it was fit for purpose, and the SFPA still refused to use it.
Right, so the upshot of this is, right, so these people, these fishers, they've now, they're on the way to Denmark. It's a big industry, but it's a small industry too. Kittybegs now is going to have a reputation that you can't land these fish in this manner at Killybegs, no one's going to power into the port knowing that there's a chance they may not be able to land. And that means, in terms of processing jobs, what is the future there? I mean, what happens now?
This is the point. I mean, from the processor's point of view, like Ireland has lost 30% of its raw material through the botched Brexit deal. So at least the processors were trying to substitute this raw material with by bringing foreign vessels here with blue whiting for human consumption. And now the SFPA, by their actions yesterday, have pretty much permanently closed that option. If you bear with me, I would like to make one point on the SFPA. This is the latest action in a long litany of anti-industry steps. And this is a body that there's 3 separate government reports and 1 EU Commission report that have found them to be unfit for purpose. And still, this government seem to be afraid of their own civil servants who back the SFPA 100%. You know, the Ireland accepting the botched EU quota deals every year, the disgraceful Brexit outcome, the use of the BAR fund, which is intended to compensate fishermen for quotas. These.
See, Cormac, the way it feels like to me is, you know, it's bad enough. It's bad enough trying to battle the forces outside of Ireland as it relates to the fishing industry, but to have to battle from within as well, it's a two-pronged situation, and it's unsustainable. Can I ask you directly though, are you confident that what was attempted yesterday is not against regulation, or was a blind eye turned and it was happening? Like, could you stand over the fact that landing these fish in this way is not against the rules?
If fish is for human consumption, particularly blue whiting, it is understood that you cannot it's throughout Europe it's understood that you cannot dry weigh them.
Mm-hmm.
And the SFPA, like I say, I would like to think this is purely incompetence. But
you don't transport milk in a pickup. Some of this stuff is common sense.
Yeah.
Open air, you know what I'm on about.
The SFPA knew what they were doing. I think they were caught out by the fact that the Danish skipper said, right, that's it, I'm going home. They didn't expect that. They expected, like the Irish boats have to do.
He's standing over his product, or she's standing over their product. You know, okay. Cormac, this could have ramifications, and we're going to follow it up early next week to see what the situation is because, you know, will we ever be able to keep track of the amount of boats that now decide not to go into Killybegs but return or go to a different port? It's going to be hard to quantify the impact of this in the short term, and that makes it go away very handy for the powers that be. But listen, we'll stay on it. We'll follow it up in conjunction with the likes of yourselves, and we appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you, Greg. And I'd just like to add that this issue and all of the issues of recent years, this is the industry's blood on the hands of the senior civil servants in the Department of Marine.
Thank you very much, Cormac. More and more we're hearing that a lot of the problems we are facing, that the government gets criticised, obviously, but a lot of these problems seem to be the people that are the victims of them seem to actually place it on the lap of civil servants, not elected representatives. This is becoming more and more of a, maybe it was always a trend, but it certainly is something that seems to be the line of conversation more often now than it was in my memory.
The 9 till Noon Show, brought to you by Kelly's Toyota. With over 45 years of experience, trust us to help you on your electric journey.
Guess where we're going on holidays? Aloha!
Could be. Get your ticket from Highland Radio at highlandradio.com.
And if that's not enough, enter before Friday the 8th of April to also be in with a chance to win one of our bonus cash prizes of €1,000.
Michael Murphy Sports and Leisure has everything you need to gear up for the GAA season this year. Get your hands on the brand new Donegal GAA home jersey, available in men's, ladies and kids, or gear up the whole family for pre-season and match days with the new Harlem range of sweaters, leggings and snoods at michaelmurphysports.ie.
On this week's Business Matters, I'm joined by Brendan Bradish O'Donnell, owner of the Glenties-based broadcasting and media company Bradish Video Productions. So join me, Kieran O'Donnell, for Business Matters on Sunday evening after the 6 o'clock news. The Business Matters podcast is also available to download at highlandradio.com.
Business Matters in association with the Letterkenny IT Faculty of Business. Looking for a career in financial services? Consider the Level 9 MA in Governance, Compliance and Data Protection. Take the next step in your career and contact the Exec Ed Coordinator on 9186206 or email execed@lyit.ie today.
Are you involved in a digital project in your town or community? Would you like to share in a €100,000 prize fund? The .ie Digital Town Awards shine a light on the achievements of local towns for digital projects in health, education, tourism and community. To enter the .ie Digital Town Awards, visit weare.ie. Terms and conditions apply.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Enjoy stress-free travel this summer with Ryanair's brand new services to Birmingham, Edinburgh and Manchester. Ireland West Airport. You're flying.
A largely dry morning with some bright early spells. However, rain will move in from around midday, feeling cool at times with highest temperatures of 6 to 8 degrees in a light to moderate northerly wind. It is 11 o'clock. It's time for a news update, and it's good morning once again to Michaela Clark.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. A major boost is on the way for West Donegal in the form of 60 new jobs. The former Austin Glenveigh in Gweedore is due to undergo a major renovation and will become known as the Social. Work will see the development of boutique accommodation, restaurants, cocktail bars, live music venues, function rooms and a family entertainment centre. History has been made today as the governing body of the New Atlantic Technological University convened for the first time at ATU Donegal in Letterkenny. Dr. Orla Flynn has been appointed as its first president. ATU will be officially opened on Monday by Minister for Further and Higher Education Simon Harris at an event in ATU Sligo. The government is considering introducing new time of day pricing measures to help bring down energy bills. If introduced, it would see the cost of running appliances reduced at certain times, such as late at night or in the middle of traditional working hours. It's emerged that 60 workers were sent home from Killybegs port yesterday after a Danish vessel wasn't able to land its catch. The CEO of the Irish Fish Processors and Exporters Association says there's outrage at the port after the ship was forced to withdraw due to a rule introduced which resulted in over 1,000 tonnes of blue whiting unable to be weighed using a pier-side weigh system. Meanwhile, high energy prices may be the straw that breaks a camel's back for fishermen. That's according to Donegal Deputy Podger McLaughlin, who told the Dáil that the fishing industry was in the midst of a crisis long before energy price hikes. And Ryanair called on the Department of Transport to hold an emergency meeting on long queues at Dublin Airport. The airline says passengers can't endure more weekends where thousands of customers suffer delays of 1 or 2 hours, causing many to miss their flights. Those are the latest headlines. We'll be back with an update again at 12 noon.
OK, thank you very much for that. Michaela. OK, now we are into the last hour of the week, the last hour of a Friday. It's the 1st of April 2022. Were you got today, by the way? Did anyone catch you out with an April Fool's? It's a tough thing to admit to, of course. None of us want to. But were you caught out today? If you were, share us the stories. Or did you get someone? Let us know what you did. Share your stories with us. 086 60 25,000. That's your WhatsApp and text. 086 60 25,000. Or call 074 91 25,000. I want to hear if you were got or you got anyone with an April Fool's. I think I've avoided it so far. I don't know. I've read a lot of texts, read a lot of messages. I think I've escaped so far, right? And I've only an hour to survive. 58 minutes to survive. But did you get caught out? Let us know. Or did you get someone else? How did you do it? Share it with us now. Caroline will take your call if it's easier to explain on 07491 25,000. Or, in fact, you can, as I say, WhatsApp or text 086 60 25,000. We're going to be talking all things entertainment with Michael and Fanula after we take a few messages.
The 9 till Noon Show brought to you by Kelly's Toyota. Test drive Toyota's incredible self-charging hybrid range at our showroom, Port Road, Letterkenny.
€20 per acre surcharge to make silage this summer. For more in this week's Irish Farmers Journal, here's Paul Mooney.
Contractors say fuel surcharge necessary this year due to increased fuel costs. Lakeland moves to introduce peak milk penalty. And our exclusive Red Sea poll reveals 2/3 of consumers are willing to pay more for food to reflect higher costs on farms.
Plus, find out how you can get more cows in calf in our spring AI focus inside this week's Irish Farmers Journal, on sale now.
Win with low prices from SuperValue. With great offers like SuperValue Fresh Irish Strip Loin Roast, save 33%. Epic! Selected Cadbury, Mars and Nestle large Easter eggs, any 3 for €9. Super! And water wipes 9-pack, only €15. That's $1.66 per pack. Unreal! Win with low prices that compete with anyone. Win with SuperValue.
Are you passionate about customer service? Then Concentrix wants to hear from you. Right now, Concentrix is recruiting work-at-home customer service advisors to join our growing global business in Donegal. If you're looking for an exciting opportunity where you can earn, learn and grow, apply today by searching Donegal at jobs.concentrix.com.
Uncover Belfast this Easter and embrace a giant city experience guaranteed to surprise. Find a city alive with culture and entertainment, from festivals and live music to world-class attractions and everything in between. With great hotel deals, come for the day and stay for the night. So come on in, uncover Belfast today. Find out more at visitbelfast.com.
We'll feel alive out in Belfast City, alright.
Hey,
You're doing great.
everyone needs a boost sometimes.
Is it time for yours?
COVID-19 can still cause serious illness in people who are high risk, and in those who aren't.
So even if you've already had COVID-19, your booster vaccine can protect you from getting it again.
And make your symptoms less severe if you do.
Everyone aged 12 and over can now get a booster vaccine.
Check if it's time for your booster and make an appointment on hse.ie.
For us all, from the HSE.
Okay, that can mean only one thing. It's time to welcome into studio now Michael and Fionnuala. Good morning to you, Michael.
Good morning to you, Greg.
No. Here we go again.
Play that again, right?
No, we'll just talk to Fionnuala for a bit.
That's it. Exactly.
How are you keeping, Fionnuala?
I am flying it, thank you very
you
much.
Just make sure the cable's in the top of that okay for me, please? Thank you.
I had a very nice break, so I'm feeling very good.
You weren't here last week?
No, I wasn't. I was visiting some family.
Okay.
After we had such a lovely time in London, I stayed on to visit some family, so it was great. The weather was so nice.
I know. Yes.
Hello.
Who needs an engineer when we've got Michael Letty? Yeah, it was.
Which is ability to plug.
I mean, I'll tell you, myself and Michael had a wee chat Monday or Tuesday as it relates to the Oscars.
Yes.
But obviously, as a collective, we haven't had the opportunity. What do you think of the winners, the losers, those that missed out? Did they get it right? I mean, we know what the Oscars are. They're not going to be talking about Batman and Spider-Man and,
Agreed.
all that kind
This
of stuff.
is the closest they ever came to it, though. I have to say that to me, that's not even talking about the other thing that happened because I'm over it.
I do want to ask you one
But
question as it relates to that.
to me, the sad part about that is that we've really missed out on a lot of the amazing stuff that happened for one of the first times in the Oscars. Jessica Chastain got Best Actress for The Eyes of Tammy Faye, which again is not really a movie that you would normally see show up in the Oscars, but she's actually excellent in it. I watched it last week. If anybody's ever Tammy Faye Baker, she was married to Jim Baker. They were charismatic evangelists. They increased the TV of religious TV in it, and Tammy Faye is a very kind of
divisive sort of.
Kind of divisive, but also she's a little bit damaged. There's a lot of different things going on, but you wouldn't even recognize Jessica Chastain in it. Like, she's so just really throws herself into it. I thought she was excellent in it, and I was like, oh God, she really could get an Oscar, but no, she won't get it because the movie wasn't very Oscar movie. And then, like Michael and I were talking earlier on,
that's
you
banned, but anyway, carry on.
Yeah, I know, we're breaking rules.
But
Giving
I
away
mean,
content in the
I
canteen.
don't want interesting conversations in the kitchen. I want them on air.
I know. I'm bringing it on air now. But just as I was saying, like with Coda winning, Best Picture. It's such a good movie. Oh no, Best Director. It didn't get Best Picture, did it?
Coda did, yeah.
It got Best Screenplay.
And the director of Power of the Dog.
Oh
got Best
God,
Director.
that's what it is. Yeah. So
Which
it got
seems
Best
fair
Pic-
enough. That seems like a good split.
It was. Power of the Dog was beautifully done, and I genuinely thought it was going to end up winning an Oscar because who knew exactly what was going on with it? You know, that kind of way. It was sort of a bit ethereal. Whereas Code is one of the first movies that I could genuinely tell. Like Michael and I have very different taste in movies, and we both loved it.
And I went back to the list on
Coda is Child of Deaf Adults.
Yeah. And I went back to the
It's
list
on
of the
Apple
last
streaming.
10 whatever winners, and I other than Green Book, I've seen them and I liked them, but this is the one where I can honestly say I loved it, and they got it right.
Oh my God! And it's just such a good film. It's so warm. You could sit with your family.
Yeah.
Anybody would watch.
I mean,
this
obviously, one would never condone violence. Some might, but I won't. But that's really the damage that Will Smith did here, other than to Chris Rock's face. In that, and if you're going to do that, why slap? But anyway, he's got a history of slapping. It's taken away from a wonderful achievement. Because that is the time where films get to shine, and particularly if this year it was sort of more mainstreamy type stuff. I think that's really what you're getting at.
Well, was stuff
it'll be remembered as the Oscars that he did that.
Yes, rather than some Troy Kutzer got the Best Supporting Actor. He's plays the father in Coda. He's a deaf actor. His speech alone was, oh my God! Even the person translating his signing was nearly in tears listening to it. It was just amazing. Like there was so many really beautiful things
Moments,
in it that just got completely overshadowed, and that will never get the limelight that they should get.
No,
and
exactly.
All along the way. Now, and I will never watch King Richard now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, that's
Well,
the thing.
he
It
loves it.
overshadows.
He loved King
Richard.
Overshadows
liked
King
it.
Richard, and you feel for the other people. Ingenue Ellis, who gives a great performance, and they all give great performances, and it's an interesting story. It's a compelling story, and obviously the sisters. It's their life. It's their movie of their life. They produced it. It takes away from all that.
So, listen, we've talked before about Netflix specials, about comedy and all that kind of stuff, and we won't spend too long on this, right? But if one thing came from that whole situation, me personally, and I don't think I'm particularly woke, the idea that you can make jokes purely based on someone's personal appearance, this roasting of people, I would not be sad to see that gone. Is that the end of that kind of presentation at these ceremonies that you just cannot?
I don't know if it's
make
the
and
end,
you can talk about it being a GI joke, GI Jane joke. Right? It's not. It made someone who is dealing with something we don't know how it's affecting them. It made someone feel like the size, of an ant on a really, really huge platform.
Yeah. I don't know if it's the end, but it'll make comedians think twice if they're delivering that kind of material. I think it will. I think that's what we're seeing. I think that's been coming on for a couple of years. And I think, whether that's good, bad in the bigger scheme of things, I don't know. But certainly I think it's happening, and comedians will think twice before they...
I think they'll go the other way.
Oh, get more double down.
I think so. I think they'll double, because I think that you're getting very little negative feedback to Chris Rock. People are adding on. His shows are sold out. People are adding on when they're talking about it. They are going, of course.
Yeah, but there's
there is an issue of a medical condition here. But I think that people didn't feel that it was. If they didn't feel that it was, you can say something about somebody's medical condition or somebody's physical appearance, which can be blatantly harsh. I think people didn't feel that this was that harsh in crossing the line. I originally genuinely thought it was just a dig about her career.
Exactly, but there's a few different things going on.
Because he has dug about her career before.
We're very divided now, right? There are those that think we're being too conservative and too politically correct. Right?
Yes.
That's a very strong voice. Then there are those that resist that will champion Chris Rock purely because he appeals more to, they think all gloves should be off, should be fit to say everything, right?
Yes, yeah.
Then we have those who advocate for people with, say, a disability or something. I'm not saying alopecia is. And would be hurt by comments by that. And then another group of people, and it's not as black and white as this, who think that, it wouldn't bother me, you shouldn't be so easily offended. But that doesn't really, I think that polarizes us more, because we have more people using it as an argument to progress their views and opinions. But it doesn't really... So Chris Rock's selling out. It doesn't mean everyone's selling out, but he might think, well, someone might say, well, I'm going to go and see Chris Rock because he says what he thinks, and this world's going crazy and you can't say anything, so I'm going to buy a ticket.
Judd Apatow had a great take on this that I didn't think of until after we spoke on Monday. Judd Apatow has a piece up, I think it was Entertainment Weekly, and he said, I'm missing the point here. G.I. Jane, at the time, everybody was raving about how powerful, magnificent and sexy she was. When did comparing anyone to G.I. Jane become an insult? He was like, what's going on
Well, the
here?
insult is that she does not style herself on G.I. Jane. She's got alopecia, and the way she deals with it is to cut her hair short.
The real life person. Yeah, that's the thing. But you're still comparing, like... Demi Moore took a role. Yes.
She shaved her head, and that was a big story at the time.
Yeah,
a beautiful woman
huge,
shaving her head,
huge
right?
time, yeah.
People are saying, but she's a really attractive, powerful woman. That's subjective, right?
Yes.
That doesn't talk to how the person who was the butt of that feels.
But what she herself had... See, this is... As the week has gone on, and more and more has come out, she herself has gone on social media last year and said, I don't care what anybody thinks. I'm really proud of how I look. If she's saying that, and if Chris Rock is aware of that, and we still don't know if he knew she had alopecia, a friend of his has come forward and said, Chris Rock didn't have a clue. And it's also come out that that gag was not in the script. All his gags were scripted, except that was an off-the-cuff remark.
Well, he might be taking it.
So it wasn't in the script. So now you're wondering, A, did he know she had alopecia? And B, did he know that she had alopecia and knew that she was fine with people saying...
I don't disagree with what you're saying.
But say someone walks across the front row to their seat, okay, and they appear drunk, okay, and a comedian in the moment references that, right?
Yeah,
let's
which
say
happens
they're not,
a lot.
Let's say they're
Happens
not
a lot.
actually drunk.
Yeah, and they've had
let's say
something's
they've got a
happened.
condition.
Yes,
right?
of course.
But he's not just an innocent victim of ignorance.
No, but I think I don't disagree with what you're saying. They do an awful lot of this roasting, and some of it is very much to the line and to the bone, and has to be hurtful to the person who's on the other end of it while everybody else is laughing. But in this, I don't think this is going to be the instance that does what you're doing.
The straw.
Because I think that if they had reacted in other ways, if they had stood up and walked out, if they had done something in a form of protest.
Statement.
But the fact that he stood up, walked 50 yards or whatever it was up, smacked a man, walked back with what appeared to be a smile on his face and a swagger.
It was very peculiar.
And then the shouting afterwards.
Yeah.
It just came across, and it just came
So do you
across
think
as
that's
what's
the
taken
issue,
away
okay.
from it. I don't disagree with
And
what you're
any
saying.
sympathy-
Because you can't slap, you can't go up and slap.
You can't do
I
that,
think that's what's taken away
and
from
any
it. And
sympathy
it
for
wouldn't
Will
change.
Smith and for Jada Pinkett Smith,
It's
for me,
completely
it's
gone.
eroded by their behaviour
I have no
during the
sympathy.
week.
I have no...
Yeah.
I
For
could,
her post on social media during the week was, for me, smug.
I
and
didn't see it. But listen,
off-putting.
Will Smith, in the course of minutes, he went from walking in being all full of the joys of spring, boyish, sitting down laughing at the joke, then into complete and utter anger where he goes up to physically slap someone, to cry as if that never happened, and be able to switch on bursting out in tears to claim the Oscar. I think, maybe Will needs to
after that whole thing, I'm like, I don't think I can ever look at him the same again now,
I
because
never
now
His
I
brand
just
is
think
damaged. His brand
because
is
now
damaged.
I don't think anything we ever did was real.
Well-
and now I'm looking at all the other people who gave him the standing ovation and going, Benedict Cumberbatch, why?
I just think
I'm upset with
he'll
you.
use this to rehabilitate himself.
Oh,
maybe
you know what?
Chris Rock and Will Smith will do a film together where they're double act and it'll.
I would never watch it. I just think it's terrible, and I think it's wrong to say, but the fact of the matter is, in America today, in the world that it's in as well, the fact that this incident occurred between two people of colour, just impacts even worse for all the work that people are doing in order to bring everybody together and that kind of thing.
And also, you have to ask yourself,
just has ripples.
If it was a female comedian, and that happened, it would it would be completely unacceptable. And if it were if it was a white person that slapped, obviously then it would be dragged
my,
into
it's
a
just
whole
be
other
complete.
context
Yeah,
and a whole
that's what
other
I'm saying.
level.
The whole thing is
So-
just
big time.
it's just got to
Right,
be.
just one more piece of news then before we move into the reviews. Bruce Willis has announced his retirement after receiving an aphasia diagnosis. It impacts his cognitive abilities. Directors who've been working with him, I think he's done 22 films in the last couple of years, and do you remember I said it?
We talked about
I
this.
said, he's working flat out, and the really low budget movies, but some of the directors have reported that it was clear that he was struggling at the time.
Yeah.
I suppose reflecting on his career, not including necessarily the last couple of years, it's sad, isn't it?
Very sad.
He's only 67 years of age. It's just not something you expect to hear.
You don't expect to hear it. He's still, a young man, respective to his career. You would expect that he would have many years to go. You don't want to, and it's very shocking. It's sort of a surprise, but not a surprise. And a lot of people coming forward saying it was kind of an open secret in Hollywood circles, maybe not known publicly. It makes a lot of sense in retrospect. I see the Razzies, who famously go ahead of the Oscars every year and poke fun at bad movies. They retracted. They had given him awards in the context. Now we know the story.
He was doing 12 films a year.
And
I think they were saying, the worst Bruce Willis film of the year.
Yeah, they had 7 nominations in the category worst. Yeah, because he had done so many.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's tragic. And as somebody who has been a huge fan of that man and his work since Moonlighting in the mid-'80s, through Die Hard, through all the action movies of the 90s, through his rejuvenation, like in more serious, because as an actor, this is a man with a great range. Like we think of him as the wisecracking action hero, but he's done other roles and he can do other things, and it's sad.
Yeah, it's sad. But
I mean, Sixth Sense must be one of the best movies.
Oh, fantastic movie.
Just amazing.
Was he good in that?
Oh, he's so good in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's so good in
Part
it.
of it is that you get hooked by his... He's such a likeable persona on screen.
Okay.
And you care about that guy. And that means that there's a big twist at the end for those
it's dramatic. It's a real...
We are so invested
it's
in it.
much more than the reveal,
It's much more than the wisecracking guy that we had from like the Moonlighting or different, the different things he's done like that. Didn't he do a Falcon movie or something as well back in the day as he was doing that?
He's been in some turkeys though.
But then into the action figure hero thing that he did.
So his best, he did Unbreakable, is it? He was in Unbreakable. That was very good. I really enjoyed him in that.
And he was in Pulp Fiction, which was amazing performance.
But a lot of kind of Tarantino kind of rebooted quite a few actors.
Hudson Hawk is what you're thinking of.
Is that it?
Hudson Hawk is one of my...
I'm speaking to him. He's actually going, yeah. I'm thinking what Fanula said. Go on.
There's something... Well, you see, I haven't seen Fanula in longer than you. I was chatting to you during the week, Greg. But Hudson Hawk, I loved that film because he sang, would you like to swing on this? He did that whole thing when they were doing the robbery. And that was so cool. That got very bad reviews. But
Who
I was
sings
like...
that song again?
Bruce Willis.
Well, let's keep it that way.
I wonder if that's on one of the streaming. I must check that out.
I have both of his. I have one of them.
He's much more than Die Hard, but Die Hard is...
He's a great singer. 2
Die Hard
albums.
is- of course.
It's also interesting to think, like you'd assume that obviously if his he's had his diagnosis for a while and he's been doing 12 movies, you would assume he's been doing them for the money.
Well, he was getting about $2 million for 2 days, and the directors were having to shorten his lines, and there were occasions where he literally wasn't aware where he was. So I don't know if he was trying to increase his catalogue, or maybe he was trying to leave behind
a body
for his
of work
family.
Yeah,
but also maybe
for his family. I know that's what you would just assume. Some of the stuff he's been, when you think back on the movies that he's been in, they are there as kind of like not classics, but classics in the sense that cultural classics, like that everybody's watched them. You know what I mean? Not and you would assume that he made loads of money over his career.
There was one film I watched. His face was on the poster. And I was checking myself a couple of times, watched it. He was in like one scene in the last 5 minutes, and I was like, oh, right, okay. Right, but anyway, listen, hopefully now he gets all the care and attention that hopefully he can, get the best of it. And unfortunately, I think we've seen he's filmed his last film. That's Bruce Willis. You're listening now to the voices of Michael Leddy and Fanula Rabbit, and we're going to start maybe giving you some ideas as to what to watch or to avoid, in fact, after these.
The 9 till noon show brought to you by Kelly's Toyota, Port Road, Letterkenny, with offers on a wide range of passenger and commercial vehicles.
Greatness isn't something you're born with. It requires work, dedication, self-belief, and support. In 2024, Team Ireland will travel to Paris with the hopes of a nation on their shoulders. And Permanent TSB will be supporting them every step of the way. So when our Olympians and Paralympians take to the world stage, let's come together in raising a nation to greatness. Permanent TSB, proud sponsor of the Irish Olympic team and the Irish Paralympic team.
Most business ideas start with a dream, a desire to do things differently. A lot of business ideas end there too. If you have an idea you want to turn into a reality, Enterprise Ireland's New Frontiers programme can help. Together with your local institutes of technology and technological universities, it provides support and funding for early-stage entrepreneurs to help with everything from testing your idea to implementing your business plan. Applications for your region are now open. Visit newfrontiers.ie. Enterprise Ireland's New Frontiers. Turn dreaming into doing. Supported by the Government of Ireland.
The Redcastle Oceanfront Golf and Spa Hotel would like to invite you to their wedding fair on Sunday, the 10th of April from 2 till 5 p.m. Meet the wedding team, top industry suppliers with breathtaking views, refreshments and more. One lucky couple will win a VIP 30-minute helicopter experience, followed by bubbly and dinner on the day. To enter, simply register at www.redcastlehotel.com and attend the wedding fair.
Mr. Blue Sky, please tell us why. The Euro Millions jackpot is an estimated €55 million. Play responsibly, in-store, in-app or at lottery.ie. The National Lottery. It could be you.
Kelly's Diner in Letterkenny now has even longer opening hours. Try Kelly's Early Bird Breakfast, one of their great lunch specials, or a renowned Jake's Burger. Kelly's famous steak specials are available every Saturday from 3, with an 8-ounce succulent steak and all the trimmings for just €11. New extended opening hours now in Kelly's award-winning diner at Mountaintop, Letterkenny. Check out Facebook for details.
Okay, we're back. We're back. Children, stop it. Okay, we're back. We are. Listen,
Sorry.
Greg, evidently you are on Jada Pinkett Smith's side, but Will Smith was wrong. No excuses. Sometimes there's just a right and a wrong, not an opinion.
Ooh.
No, I don't think anyone would. I don't think anyone has or would defend Will Smith. I mean, some people. You know, who are pretty motivated by it can understand it.
Yeah.
Say, well, if I do the same in my position.
We can defend his emotions, but not his actions.
Yeah, well, yes, and she's probably well capable of defending herself. I'm not on any side because I have not read anything on it. I have not watched any news articles or bulletins or blogs or articles. I am literally just saying it as I saw
just
it.
watching Coco Melon and that's it.
Coco Melon. Oh my Coco Melon. Okay, I don't condone what Will Smith done, but we don't know what he and his wife went through with her alopecia when it started. Chris Rock has no right to make remarks about anyone's hair or weight, etc. Listen, I mean, obviously, I'm not putting myself in her position, but I obviously constantly get jokes about being bald, constantly. It doesn't bother me in the slightest at all. By the way,
stop.
so
I'm sorry about that, Greg. Stop.
I want anyone out there who does not to stop. I don't mind. But my point is that it might affect someone else differently.
Yeah, no, it's true. But I think that I don't know. This was just a.
But we don't want to become
very weird.
We don't want to become a mute sort of.
Yeah.
You know, sterile. Is it that
That's
word?
a conversation that comedians are having.
If she had stood up and walked up and smacked him,
completely
I'd be less. I'd be less inclined to be that.
Yeah,
I'd be like, okay, you took offence to that. You did, and this is a strong woman. I mean, if anybody doesn't know her, watch 5 minutes of her, The Red Room. I think it's called The Red something, Red Couch. I think it is. Watch 5 minutes of it.
Then we could have a conversation about whether it was right or wrong. Although violence is never right. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But
or had she stood up, as you said, and walked out? Had she walked
protested in any way, she herself.
Yeah.
What a statement! That would have been a statement.
And you know, it's not. I wouldn't say it's private thoughts, but I do wonder, you know, how things are when the cameras aren't rolling in certain ways. I'm not suggesting there's anything inappropriate, but I'm just wondering.
No, of course.
The dynamics of that. The dynamics of that situation.
Oh yeah.
Right.
They have an open relationship, but I think only her side is open.
What Rebel Wilson said at the back. Yeah, she can do what she like.
Well,
Rebel Wilson said at the BAFTAs
they have
was worse.
agreed. Apparently, it's a lie because they call me all the time. We're best friends.
Yes.
They have agreed that their relationship is open. This is the type of stuff she discusses.
Both have.
The red tape must be the tape. Anyways, the name of her.
What happens if you fall in love with someone else? Like you just stay in it. That doesn't make
Well,
any sense.
they've agreed that they can both see somebody else, but according to her and her discussions that she has, these roundtable discussions that she's had, and she's talked to him about it, she has had other relationships, but he has not.
Right, okay.
Within this open relationship marriage that they
Wow.
And
If I
again,
were a comedian, there's a joke in there
but
somewhere.
Rebel Wilson
I'm
at the
not
BAFTAs made a much harsher joke, much harsher about the best acting Will Smith is currently doing is pretending he is okay with his wife's boyfriends.
I actually think that's okay.
It's harsher
No,
because it's right to their lifestyle choices. Lifestyle choices. None
They've
of our
spoken publicly about it.
that's
They're
none of
on
our
the
business.
records.
Yeah.
They've sat round tables. They've said it. I think that's okay.
Well, she's spoken about her hair and her feelings on it and her whole thing.
Oh,
I don't know.
okay.
Look, I don't. As
I'm
I
still
said,
working
there's
it
no.
out, I don't know.
Yeah,
Of
there's no wrong as it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In the sense of saying, obviously, but nobody should feel in any way hurt or offended in these kind of situations, and you shouldn't make them feel that way. But I think that the thing about the Oscars is, and the thing about them getting up and smacking is that any ground they could have gained to say you shouldn't be saying something about it,
conceded.
it's just been completely
big time conceded. Yeah.
Yeah, all
taken
right.
away.
Let's see. We will go to Fanula's list because we haven't seen her for ages because she's gallivanting around London with Ursula, the younger cousin. Bridgerton,
By 4 months.
It's still younger. That means you have half birthdays. So does that mean it's longer? No, it's always 4 months. Okay. Bridgerton then, it's back.
Yes.
Bodice ripping?
Yes.
Okay.
Bridgerton is bodice ripping 110%. It is 8 episodes. It is a little less bodice ripping than the last time.
Would you watch it with your granny?
Oh, you would watch up as far as episode 6.
Right, okay.
Then,
So I should be looking at episode 7.
Yeah.
then definitely.
Thanks for telling us when to start watching.
Then definitely don't watch with your granny. No, it's much less bodice ripping than the previous one, but actually it's a bit. To me, it was all the better for it because I like my Regency to be a bit Regency-ish, and all this bodice ripping can be a little bit OTT sometimes. But this one is very much based on the second book. It's the eldest brother of the Bridgertons, Anthony, and he has decided that he needs to get married. The time has come. He has had a bit of a trauma in his past over the death of his father and that. He's decided that he's not looking for love or anything like that. He's just looking for somebody that will make him a good countess. And so he sets out to find what they call the diamond, which is the pinnacle of loveliness of all the debutantes that are out during the day. And he finds this girl and he proceeds to woo her. Meanwhile, he meets her older sister as well, and
Who's the both of them?
all sorts of things. Well, no, they don't like each other. Himself and the older sister, and it just you are being very condescending.
No,
wow.
I'm not.
I love this. I have to say, I sat down at the weekend. I came back from my trip, sat down at the weekend, and watched 8 hours of Bridgerton.
All in one go.
Was awesome. I didn't, it's one of those things where the way you get up and you're kind of like, ugh. So just put on your nice, especially now if this snow and the weather's coming. This weekend, throw himself out of the house, put on your gym jams, don't bother getting dressed, get a nice cuddly, throw on the fire.
Snacks?
Nice cup of tea. Oh, yeah, nice
Greg,
cup of tea.
I'm convinced.
To bring the tea.
Bar of chocolate.
I was actually
there you
gonna-
go. Put him out in the other room watching the smaller,
I was going
watching
to
the smaller
finish-
TV. Most people have two.
Yeah.
And just ring him. So start off at the beginning with cups of tea, and then by the time you get to the steamy bits, it's late enough in the day for a gin. So
I'm
that's-
sold. I was going to
6 hours.
finish. I was actually planning to watch the last episode of Reacher tonight and the last episode of season 5 of Bosch. Forget them.
Bridgerton.
It's Bridgerton the whole night.
I've watched
your Cato Ray Tube television.
What's he going to do? What's he going to do? Which of those
Bridgerton,
potential
I've watched
duchesses is he going to
Bridgerton,
choose?
Bosch and Reacher.
Is
and
that the end of it now?
You definitely should. No, there's 10 books.
Oh God!
And how many series have there been?
2.
There's only been 2.
Oh really?
So
Okay,
they're already
fantastic.
they're already talking about series 3, and it gets I've read all the books as well, but if you go through it and you read it, I like a good.
You
romance.
like what you like.
I like what I like. Plus, it's because you always know it's going to turn out
So
all right.
the first
in the end.
book was
There's something
bodice
very
ripping.
comforting.
The second one had less. Is the third one bodice put awning?
No, the
that
third
a thing?
one is
Another brother?
The third one is Benedict, and then the fourth one then is when
That Benedict.
the Irish girl Nicola Coughlan.
So
who
you're
went
giving
schooling.
it a million out of 100.
Look at, is it Is it the greatest acting you've ever seen in the world?
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Is the story, you know what I mean, something you have not seen 1,000 times in different ways?
No.
But it is beautifully shot. The costumes are absolutely stunning in it. It will, like I
While
say,
they're wearing
get
them.
yourself a nice cup of tea, nice fluffy dressing gown, throw the fire on at the weekend, and there
Do
you
know
go.
what, Fizz?
Job
Do you-
done.
and you have
We'll
that
see you
lovely-
Monday.
You have that lovely moment where you're lying there and you're picking the crumbs out of your fluffy. You're picking the crumbs of your Pringles out of your fluffy bits of your dressing gown and eating them. So and then when you get a big bit, it's like, ooh.
Yes.
Very
We've
satisfying.
all done that. It's great.
Right, okay. Who is this, a British production or what? Oh, joint production?
No, it's
or-
American.
American, okay.
The books are written by an American lady, and
Is
there's
this
a
the
whole
show
series
from
of
the
them.
Grey's Anatomy lady? Shonda.
Well, I hasten to add now because I'm not a big
Careful now, this is
fan of
Bridgerton.
hers. But yes, it is her production company.
Shonda
Land.
Right. Oh, yeah, it's her company. Isn't it?
Shonda Land is her
Okay,
company that does it.
so, right, to you, Star Trek Picard. Don't tell me you're only just getting around to finishing off something or other, because
No, the
we
new
talked about
series.
this about 6 years ago.
The new series is on Amazon the last few weeks. So it's a brand new second series, completely new story. The way Star Trek Picard works is each season is going to be a separate story. First season had its story complete. So for this new series, which has been out now a couple of weeks, I don't think there's any spoilers to say that two of the main recurring characters from Star Trek The Next Generation are back.
Oh,
Q
brilliant.
and Whoopi Goldberg's Q, who is the godlike character.
He's a comedian. Was he?
John Delancey, not to my knowledge, but a very good character actor, and he returned on Star Trek: Next Generation as the recurring nemesis of Picard.
yeah.
He also popped up with Sisko in Deep Space Nine.
It's the same actor doing Q.
Same actor.
Brilliant.
He looks fantastic. I mean, he just looks amazing. He's back, and Whoopi Goldberg is back as Guinan. And this new storyline involves the
Whoopi
Borg.
Goldberg was in Next Generation, wasn't
She was a regular in a semi-regular, recurring through season 2 through season 6.
Really?
She didn't appear
Next Generation?
She was the bartender in 10 Forward in the bar, yeah.
Very
And
good.
she was also
Very rarely shown.
a mysterious character who was Captain Picard's confidant, and it was implied and then proven that they had known each other for a very long time and so forth. They're back. The Borg are back. This is a show that I think is way better than Star Trek Discovery. Different showrunners are doing the two shows, and I'm watching Discovery just so I can complain about it on social media.
Yeah.
But I'm watching Picard because I'm enjoying
And
it.
why? Is it because it is more rooted in when you used to watch it when you were young?
I think that's a valid question. Maybe
All
to some
my
degree it
questions
is.
are valid.
But I actually think no. I'm quite good at distancing myself from the nostalgia thing. Honestly, Star Trek Discovery is not a good show for telling stories. It just isn't. There's far too much of the characters it's sitting around. The way I openly gaze at Fionnuala with adoration in my eyes, it's fine for me to do it here, but it happens every week on Star Trek Discovery.
Yeah.
They're always looking at Burnham like, oh my God, you're amazing, Burnham. And I'm like, no,
And
she's
she's not amazing.
She's not amazing. She's always crying.
Have you
She
started
cries
watching it
in
yet?
every episode. Picard's a better story
Have
show.
you started watching the second series yet?
Of?
It's Picard?
Yes, I have, and I
You're
am watching
enjoying
it,
it,
and
okay.
I'm giving it a thumbs
on
up
my
and a
list of
solid.
things
Is it
to
on
do.
your list?
Of list of things to do. I haven't
What's
seen
not
it
on
because
your
I
list
missed
now, in
it.
fairness?
No, because I haven't watched any
This
of
is
it.
quite an extensive list.
It's on my list of things to do.
Right, okay. We're going to be coming back for more with more from Michael and Fionnuala after these. Stay right where you are.
The 9 till Noon Show brought to you by Kelly's Toyota, Port Road, Letterkenny. Stockists of a wide range of used passenger and commercial vehicles.
This Saturday, Paul McDevitt will be live from Homeland Letterkenny to mark the start of their series of Super Saturday Garden events in April. Special guest Gareth Austin will hold a garden clinic with planting demos. Offers will include buy two, get one free on shrubs and bedding, 20% off ceramic pots, garden tools, feeds and more. Someone will also win a Faro furniture set worth €350. All happening this Saturday at Homeland, Letterkenny's first Super Saturday Garden event.
When you get the M&S app, you get the good stuff. Good stuff that comes from Sparks, the M&S reward scheme. Like personalised offers tailored just for you. Easy breezy shopping and returns too. Good stuff like the chance to get your shopping for free. A donation to your chosen Sparks charity every time you shop. And good stuff like little treats because, well, who doesn't like a little treat every now and then? Download the M&S app today and get the good stuff. Terms and conditions apply. See marksandspencer.ie for details.
Forward Emphasis International, based in Mallinhead, are actively recruiting for customer service advisors with both permanent remote working and hybrid opportunities available. Experience in contact centres or insurance services is desirable but not essential, as full training is provided. Fully funded financial services qualifications delivering attractive career path opportunities are available. Please visit their website www.forwardemphasis.ie or apply via their careers page. Fancy a Chinese takeaway?
Yeah, in Beijing.
Could be. Get your ticket from Highland Radio at highlandradio.com.
And if that's not enough, enter before Friday the 8th of April to also be in with a chance to win one of our bonus cash prizes of €1,000.
All right, not diverging from entertainment, but just something to mention. We're going to come back to it properly on Monday, but you might remember on Thursday or Wednesday, I think it was, we were chatting to a lady living in the Thorndale area of Letterkenny, and that hum. Do you remember that noise? It was going on like that there. It's like listening to Michael Leddy talking about Baywatch. That kind of an annoying tone to it. But anyway, all jokes aside, Irish Water have taken on board our coverage of that, and they have launched an investigation into alleged noise emanating from that wastewater treatment plant. That was initiated on Thursday. They're trying to determine where the noise is originating from, if it's from the plant, and what they can do about it. So as I say, we'll come back to that on Monday, but just heading into the weekend, particularly, if there's difficulty sleeping with that racket, I just want you to know, if you're in that area, that they've taken on board what they heard on this programme and are investigating it. Okay, Judith O'Hare is chair of the Londonderry Musical Society. It's celebrating its 60th year. Good morning to you, Judith. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, Greg, thank you very much. Nice to talk to you on Highland Radio.
Great to have you with us. Keeping anything going for 60 years, 6 decades, a wonderful achievement, and rightly so, it's being marked.
Yes, indeed. Well, we started off in the Guildhall in Derry started in 1962. The first show was Gilbert and Sullivan, Trial by Jury in 63. And we've kept it going. There were a few years in the 70s, the Guildhall was out of commission and we couldn't do shows. But until 2020, Calamity Jane was postponed, although we managed to get it on in October 21. So then we're continuing with The Sound of Music. This is our big anniversary show coming up next week, the 6th and 9th of April in the Millennium Forum in Derry.
And that's why we're talking to you. It's a classic, obviously, isn't it? A great opportunity to see a big show on a big stage with a great cast.
Well, that's it. We haven't done The Sound of Music before, and we've got terrific children, including some of our friends across the border. We have a couple from Frau Schmidt and her daughter is playing Gretel, and they're both from Buncrana. Lily Mae Tolley is playing Gretel. She's only 8, and her mummy Maureen is Frau Schmidt, and then one of our principal nuns, Aoife Lennon, is also from Buncrana, as is her brother Michael, who's helping us out with the chorus. So we've a lot of cross-border communication as well, including with our friends in our same name, Letterkenny Music Society, and the Letterkenny Music and Drama Group, of course, too.
All right, tickets available now. How do people book their seat?
Well, it's through the Millennium Forum in Derry, so I have a banner here. I don't know if you can see this.
Lovely.
So it's the Millennium Forum website.
I have one too.
Oh, that's even. That's right. That's what I said.
Yours is in colour though. But anyway.
So phone number 02871264455.
And that's from the south. If anyone wants to book, it's 04871264455, because you'll get a good clientele crossing the border.
Oh yeah, and Millennium Forum, www.millenniumforum.co.uk.
And if you want to go with a group of people and there's 11 years, you only pay for 10 tickets and you get one free. Thursday to Saturday, 15 to 21.50. And there's family tickets available. So it's Wednesday the 6th to Saturday the 9th inclusive, I presume?
Yes, and there's a matinee on the Saturday afternoon at 2:30 as well. So we're very, welcome to bring the children along. They probably would enjoy it too.
Is this the first big show? Is this the first big show since you were able to do shows, or?
Well, Calamity Jane, we got on stage in October. It was a year and a half late, but we got that and it was very popular. So we're very pleased to be able to go again. The Sound of Music, as you say, is a big show. So it's great for the audiences to get in. I think everybody really enjoyed getting out to the theatre again.
Oh, for sure.
just a bit of escapism, especially in there's just so much bad news. But Sound of Music is a classic, and you can sing along
Okay,
at appropriate times.
Yeah,
Our
don't
musical
sing
director
along
will
at the
keep you-
wrong time. Okay.
Keep you under control.
Judith O'Hare, lovely to see you, lovely to chat to you. Thanks very much.
Thanks very much, Greg.
She is chair of the Londonderry Musical Society. Okay, Sound of Music, probably one of your favourites. One of you is bound to love it.
Oh, was one of the only videos we had when we were kids. We used to watch it every Christmas.
Lovely.
Love
What
it.
kind of songs?
And
were
there's 7 of us. So
What would be
okay.
What would be the most favourite song? Famous song?
what would be mine? The one with the girl when she's at, you are 16 going on 17. Oh, I can't sing.
I just wanted to get you to sing.
Yeah, I can't.
So
do it.
easy to manipulate.
I know.
people.
I'm not going to join in because I know what'll happen if
Shall
I
we go?
sing in
Let's
front
do
of
it.
Greg.
I'll join in if you
No,
sing.
I don't
Get
trust
it
you, Greg.
going.
I don't trust you, Greg.
Right. Let me see. We'll do one more before the break. We're not going to get to all of them, so I want you to pick one, Fionnuala, that's on your list there that you want to talk about.
Oh, okay. All right.
Please.
Well, the only one then is just that I'm watching this thing and it's very unusual for me and I wouldn't normally watch it, but I'm actually quite enjoying it. It was JB that mentioned it, our own John Breslin mentioned, and it's called Winning Time, The Rise of the Lakers Dynasty. It's on Sky Atlantic. Now, there's only 4 episodes up yet that you can download all, and there's 10 in total. But basically, it's about the LA Lakers, or the basketball team, and it's kind of the reason why, even though I do not know anything about basketball whatsoever, I've actually heard of the Lakers, and you can name 1 or 2 players that are just kind of in the zeitgeist type thing, like Magic Johnson.
Did we reach the peak of basketball documentaries, though, with the Michael Jordan
Oh,
one?
this is not a documentary.
Oh, what? It's a film?
Yes,
Okay,
this is a
right.
TV series. Yes, this is a
so
drama.
It's a dramatization.
Yes.
Beg your pardon.
John,
sorry.
oh yeah, no, this isn't. Oh God, no, I couldn't watch it. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
No,
Right.
they did do a lot of different stuff on it, and some of them are fine, but they wouldn't be my cup of tea at all. No, this is a dramatization of the Lakers and the NBA.
Yep.
The
National
Lakers
Basketball Association.
and the NBA were kind of trotting along in the 70s, and they were doing terribly. Bowling was
TERRIBL.
Such a good boy. And they were doing terribly.
Have you
even
treats? Throw treats across
next time I'll bring sweeties. Now, bowling was actually getting better viewers than them.
Yes.
And it was a whole
Wow.
thing to do with people not having an interest in basketball. It had to do with race. It had to do with lots of different things. The Boston Celtics were the big team at the time, and Larry Bird had just joined them, and Magic Johnson was the other kind
Breakout
of big
star.
player that was coming. And at that time, a guy called Jerry Buss, who was, he's going to call himself a doctor in this, and I really need to Google him a bit more and find out. He claims that he
might be a doctor of thugonomics,
that
like
he's
John
in,
Cena or something.
Yeah, he's like in physics. He's a doctorate in physics, but he does not come across as being that smart. But anyways, that's what he did. He had millions and millions and millions, and he spent 60 odd million, and he bought the LA Lakers. And he that suddenly turned basketball and the NBA into the spectacle that it is now. The fact that you always see the celebrities sitting on court, even the Laker girls, most people would have heard of the models that go and become the dancers there and that for the Lakers. So he that kind of turned it and the NBA into more of a showbiz type of thing. It is full of bad language. It is full of the only thing I'm not an awful lot of gratuitous sex things in it, which you're kind of like,
It is or isn't?
It is.
Okay.
You could kind of step away from
Which
that.
episode? Which episode?
All of them from start one. But the thing about it is, for some reason when they set things in the 70s, they really set them in the 70s.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's just like, all right, lads,
all in.
come on. We could just temper it a small bit. But it's a
even
very
real
interesting
70s
story.
shows, which I watch, are not that
I know,
70s.
No, they're not that. I know.
They're going, we need an 80s feels to this. It's 76.
It's very much set in the 70s, but it's very interesting. There's a lot of characters in it. They all then as well turn and kind of speak to camera sometimes as well, like as if they're but actually I like it. It's amazing. I don't normally
things different.
I know.
That's the most
But
interesting
this is-
thing you've said about
it's
it. That
set in
makes
the
me go,
70s, so there's absolutely no drone shots. But it's very much about, so there's a little bit of them talking to camera. It's very much them kind of explaining how it came along. This Jerry Buss is a crazy character. Just full of real kind of characters in it. Magic Johnson, as most people know, he slept with a load of ladies, which used to be what he was known for a while. He also, I think he got a HIV diagnosis and everything as well. In this, I think he's trying to sleep with the 1,000 ladies or 1,500 women that he claims he slept with in his lifetime. He's nearly going to manage it over the course of this show, the way things are going in it.
Right.
But it's also about, there's a little bit about race, there's a little bit about how things are moving forward, women in the workplace. There's lots of different things that kind of come into it. And I ended up sitting down kind of just to see what it was like, as I said, and I loved it. I ended up watching the 4
So, John, a
episodes
bit of
it.
advice: avoid finola in the kitchen. That's just what I'm gonna send upstairs to you.
It's all good. We'll just be talking about it. He liked it as well.
Oh,
John C. Riley, John C.
he's
Riley's in it, and he's really good in it.
Right.
That's a big
Sounds
name.
good. Sorry, it's not all aired yet, so you can watch 4 episodes at the moment.
Yeah, there's 4 episodes. To be honest, I couldn't even work out when it's actually on. It just
Do we
suddenly
know
appeared.
if it's one season and done?
That's
or
it.
Oh,
will this
I'd
be
say it's
around-
one season
What
and
time
done. It's
frame?
just a
All
story.
of the 70s?
Yeah, it's just, well, it runs from I think he buys it in like 78, 79, so now we're heading into the early 80s, which is going to
They're
get
just
even
going to
crazy.
switch into the 80s.
Exactly. It 100%
What is the 80s synonymous with, I wonder? Shell suits?
Well, I would have thought Coke, first of all, is definitely going to come into this. Because all
Of
these
the
guys are
cola
into it.
variety?
No,
Okay.
not of the
Right,
cola
yeah.
variety. There's very much and very kind of yuppie-esque. You know what I mean? This
Yeah,
is set in
massive
LA.
mobile phones.
You've got a lot
Yeah.
of these guys have got a lot
bright
you know,
colours, Miami Vice, and all that kind of bright pinks.
and it's a time when like these guys are earning like $500,000-$600,000 a year when that was now it's nothing.
Yeah,
to
it's
what
chicken
they're
feed.
earning.
I
But
just
then
like-
But you know,
that was
I
like a
wonder-
massive amount of money.
It is,
compared
but
to
then
what
you
people
see,
actually had.
like in more contemporarily speaking, the rise of UFC, right? Dana White and the big controversy is the fact that he's not paying really his performers, his fighters, the money that
that he's
but then
earning now.
Yeah, but then you have obviously
Oh,
the money fell
definitely.
down. The money fell down through the NBA and through
And in fairness,
the Lakers
yeah.
to the players. They were
Well,
looked
to be
after.
honest, and in fairness to them, it wasn't even to the NBA. It was to Jerry Buss. The NBA
Yeah.
didn't know what to do,
Right.
and Jerry Buss
He
just
drove the train.
He
Yeah,
was
okay.
all about
Is that a bus
hedonism.
joke? Drove the
train, bus, I don't know.
Is that
He
a-
was just very hedonistic.
It's not an
and he wanted
intentional
to
one.
bring
If it
that
is a
to
joke
the
and
NBA.
it doesn't offend anyone, I'll take it, but I didn't mean it. Okay, we're going to be back with more. What are you giving it out of 10 so far?
Oh, I'm definitely giving it like an 8. It's definitely worth sitting down and
And
watching.
in terms of Granny Watch, it's
oh
not
God,
on the list.
110%. Don't even watch it with an older sibling. It's so.
Back after these.
The 9 till noon show with Kelly's Toyota, Port Road, Letterkenny, where you can care for your Toyota with a 2-year service pack from €299.
Are you building, rebuilding, or simply improving your home? Come along to Donegal's premier gathering of home building professionals in the Northwest. Donegal New Build and Rebuild 2022 will take place in the Mount Errigal Hotel, Letterkenny. Admission is free to the 3-day event from April the 1st to April the 3rd. You'd be an April Fool to miss it.
This ad is sponsored by Advanced Timber Frame.
Get luxury for less this Easter with Lidl's inflation-busting offers. We have delicious deluxe infused salmon sides for just $8.99. A bottle of award-winning Santa Million Grand Cru wine was $14.99, now only $11.99. And medium Smarties, Kit Kat and Cadbury Easter eggs, 3 for only €3. Lidl, more for you. Enjoy alcohol responsibly.
Are you involved in a digital project in your town or community? Would you like to share in a €100,000 prize fund? The .ie Digital Town Awards shine a light on the achievements of local towns for digital projects in health, education, tourism and community. To enter the .ie Digital Town Awards, visit weare.ie. Terms and conditions apply.
Following their recent great away win over Shelburne, Finn Harps are back in league action with 2 vital home matches. First up are champions Shamrock Rovers this Friday, followed by Drogheda United on Monday. Both matches kick off at 8 and tickets are now available at finnharps.ie. That's Harps versus Shamrock Rovers this Friday night and Drogheda United on Monday night at Finn Park. See finnharps.ie for details.
It's all dancing this weekend with Jerry Guthrie and his band at the Clanry Hotel, Letterkenny. Friday night there's Jerry and Robert Mazzell. Saturday it's Jerry and Jim Devine. And on Sunday it's Jerry and Sandy Kelly. You can pay at the door each night with doors open at 9 p.m. and 2 p.m. on Sunday. That's Jerry Guthrie and his band at the Clanry Hotel, Letterkenny this weekend.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Get ready to hit the beach and soak up the sun by choosing flights to Alicante, Barcelona, Faro, Mallorca, Malaga and Milan this summer with Ryanair. Ireland West Airport. You're flying.
Okay, so rain's going to move in to the region from around about now. Feeling cool at times. Temperatures 6 to 8 degrees in a light to moderate northerly wind. Almost Bridgerton weather, that actually, when you think about it. Right, okay, so we are going to talk about... it's up to you. We can do Now TV, Disney or Amazon, whichever you prefer, Michael.
I suppose we'll go with the new one. The brand new one is Moon Knight on Disney. Brand new show this week. Okay. So although, so Moon Knight is a new Marvel superhero show. And the great thing about Marvel...
What's upload like?
Huh?
So what's Upload like? I'm joking, carry on.
Upload's
a new Marvel
series.
Yeah, can't wait.
The Upload is great, yeah. Marvel. All I would say about the Marvel series is the same thing I always say about Marvel. Marvel, when they put a new series or movie out, they do try different things. DC just try different actors as Batman. That's all they seem to do.
I know.
Yeah. Whereas this is a quirky look, and the first episode is all that's up there. I love the first episode. Anyone who doesn't know the character will be hooked. And basically, in this episode, I'll give away very, very little here, but it's a guy called Stephen. Stephen works in a gift shop in a museum. He longs to be the tour guide because he's so an expert on history of Egypt and all this kind of stuff. Stephen seems to have a problem with sleepwalking. He finds that he goes to bed at night and he wakes up and he's away from his home, and he's like, it's a bit of a problem. But as we watch more and more of the opening minutes of this episode, he finds himself further away from home, and he finds himself waking up with lots of dead guys lying around him, or guys that are being beaten up around him, and he wakes up in a position of power or of peril, and he's powerless to figure out what's going on. So we know, because we're watching a Marvel superhero show, there's things about Stephen that Stephen doesn't know about himself, and that's fun to watch as Stephen tries.
Would you watch it with Fanula's granny?
I would watch it with Fanula. Both of Fanula's grandmothers could watch this with me because it's completely... See, I don't watch...
Scary for you.
I don't watch the kind of shows. I don't watch the kind of shows that Fanula watches.
You're a good man.
I am. You know what I mean. Fella. I feel like I could go to my priest in absolute good conscience here because
I accidentally fall into these shows.
It's every week, Fanula. Every week, every single week, Fanula.
PG Leddy.
They do. I presume I've never heard it, but yes, all the people in these shows. Moon Knight doesn't rip any bodices. He doesn't. So
in fact, there's quite a nice scene where they make bodices, but particularly ones that don't push anything up and out. They're very reserved bodices.
So if you're already into Marvel, you'll love this, and there's not much more to be said about it.
That's what you want. I mean, Marvel fans.
There is a similarity,
and
people have said that. Yeah, this is very funny. Oscar Isaacs is really good, and this guy Stephen, who we see in the first episode, he's such an adorable guy. There's a whole thing around a date that goes wrong, and your heart bleeds for him, and you really feel for the guy. It's a really great hour of TV.
What do we see Oscar Isaacs in lately?
The Star Wars movies is the big one. He played Pan.
He's so good.
Yeah.
All right, so that's
thumbs up.
Well done. Do you know the show Take It or Leave It? It was an old game show from 2006 to 2008, presented by Richard Arnold on Channel TV. If so, can you know if there are anyone with episodes to send them to info.gameshows@gmail.com. I've looked for episodes since 2012, since it was stopped airing. Repeats. Maybe someone randomly has them. There could be a game show version of Michael out there. But obviously that sounds to me like someone who archives that stuff and makes it available. Right, weekend and coming next week, The Bubble. Netflix movie with David Duchovny.
Yeah,
about 2 minutes on this.
It landed in Netflix today, and it just looks like something. I just think it's a really ingenious. I don't know too much about it, only it's got a really good, strong ensemble cast.
Yeah.
But basically, I love the premise of it because it's very much of the time. And basically, what it is that there's these group of actors, and they're going to make a movie. So they are then put into a bubble, a COVID bubble, so that they can't, you know what I mean, so that they'll be able to continue working over the last 2 years in a hotel. And then it's less about the making of the movie and more about the interactions and what happens between the group of people as they are locked.
Is it a mockumentary or a drama?
I think it's supposed to be a drama, but there will be I would imagine a bit of a mockumentary kind of a feel to it, but it's filmed as if this is happening. You know what I mean? As in, this is
okay. It's interesting. You talk about films with great casts. I haven't finished it yet. Watched Copland. Sylvester Stallone's in it.
Oh yeah, that's small. Yeah.
Wait, you should have a watch of that just to see the cast. Even the incidental people in it are
show up.
Big names. They're worth
big names. It's not much of a film, to be honest with you.
Is it not? I heard good things about it.
It's all right, but I've never seen a cast like it. It's like everyone is a top class actor in it. You know, really, really famous. That's a by the by. Right, The Bubble, Netflix. Okay. We have 30 seconds. Do you want to juggle or?
Sorry, on the thing. Dairy Girls is back Tuesday the 12th on Channel 4.
Are you excited
for the final series, season 3 final series? I was like, people definitely want to
Dairy Girls is kind of becoming my Lord of the Rings, in that I've never seen it, but everyone loves it.
Everybody talks about it as well. Yeah.
Oh my God, The Nun is hilarious.
Hilarious. Listen, I haven't really watched Afterlife. Is it? There's a couple of things that everyone raves
I've
about.
never watched Afterlife.
Did you mention The Nun specifically? Because Greg is all in black today and he looks very.
He does look very priest-like.
Yeah.
But no, even when I was watching the trailer of it, she's like the priest is like, drum roll please, and she goes.
I opened the drawer. I opened the closet. When I say closet, there's no door in it. I didn't open it. I looked in it, and this was the shirt I looked at, and I thought, you know what? I might not have to iron that one. I might not have to iron it, and that's how I decided what to wear today.
Yeah, you kind of look like the priest after the meal at the wedding.
What's this thing he speaks of, an iron?
I don't know. Just if the phone rings, don't pick up the iron by mistake. That's the only thing I would say. Michael Leddy, writer and blogger. You can get you on socials.
Social media like Twitter, Riker Donegal, if you're interested in my opinions on these things.
Fanula Rabbit, thank you so much. I really
should get
appreciate
Fanula blogging.
As always.
You should blog.
No, I don't think that
you should
would
blog.
be good while she's still the CEO of
you should blog.
I have a lot of opinions that should be kept to myself.
It, kept in the kitchen. All right, come here. That's the 9 to Noon show for another week. Have a lovely weekend.